But finding one, it's laborious, it's strenuous, it's stupefying. That's why you gotta call the number on your screen now. They'll help you connect to a legal expert. You have questions, they have answers. They know the legalese, the lingo, the jargon, and the argot. They'll even tell you how much money your case could be worth. 300,000, 2 million, 86,491, all sorts of numbers. Slip and falls, work accidents, car, truck, bus, motorcycle, motorbike, e-bike, tandem bike. These bulldogs will make sure people pay. And if you don't get paid, the attorneys don't get paid, and I don't get paid. So I compel you, I implore you, I beseech you to pick up that phone and call now to see what your case could be worth.
800-428-1369.
Welcome back. Big day for peace. An Israeli spokesperson had this to say about the Trump-brokered Israel-Hamas peace deal.
Let's be clear about something. This is an incredible success Prime Minister Netanyahu has been working so diligently at to get to this point in time. We know that President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have this incredible relationship that also got us here, with the Prime Minister taking significant steps militarily and diplomatically to squeeze Hamas to get to this point in time where we can finally see the release of all 48 of our hostages, where some of them can be reunited with their families.
Newsmax actually brought that live breaking news update moments ago, and we were happy to cover it because that is real-time information about this deal that was signed, and the phase one is currently underway to return the hostages.
It's such an important step that we are through phase one in terms of the signing of it. We have to see how the upcoming hours and days unfold, John, but we are cautiously optimistic. President Trump did say that the hostages are expected to return home Monday. There are some reports out of Israel saying they'll come back as soon as Saturday. This is great news for the hostage families who have been living in a situation, a living hell for them, as they've been going through this for 2 years. I can't even imagine what they've been experiencing.
And if they're returned on Saturday, it will be a historic Sabbath.
It will be.
But President Trump also may actually fly out to the Middle East. As this.
Watch In Touch with Dr. Charles Stanley, Sundays at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative. You're tuned to the Dove, encouraging and informative. Helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
And good morning to you. Happy, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Welcome to Thursday here on the Dove, and day 2 at our new studio. And Jerry's here, that's all that counts.
Yeah, you bet.
He's my much older twin brother.
Yeah, thanks.
We're identical. Did you notice that?
It's good to be here. It's like that movie Twins.
Yeah. He's my much older identical twin. How's that?
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Happy Thursday, better known as Friday Eve. Change in the weather. We got that on the forecast. And the big news. I mean, it's going to be dominating the day. Yeah. Apparently, Hamas has agreed to phase 1 of the peace deal. And the hostages will be released. They're gearing up for that. So that's going to be the top story all over the place today. And we'll talk about that. It does have some remaining things to work out in phase 2. We'll see. But it's a big deal, and it's top news this morning. So blessed are the peacemakers, the scripture says.
Amen to that.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. All right, good morning to you. What's that?
Well, I only have a couple things this morning, and we're going to eat them both.
Okay. Oh,
and we'll see what you think about the first one. It is National Moldy Cheese Day.
Oh.
What say you?
Well, now I have to be in the mood.
Okay, yeah.
I have to be in the mood. I have to it's got to be like late afternoon in the evening.
Okay. And look at the colors of that mold.
Yeah.
Check it out. It says, the moldy friends we celebrate today are the artistic streaks of blue, gray, and green mold. They're specific strains of the penicillium that are intentionally introduced to cheeses. They create the bold flavors and the creamy textures that many love. Now, mold is a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is.
Huh? We, in fact, some mold will kill you, and some mold is tasty. What? Now, how do you figure out which is which before somebody knows for sure? So were there testers, taste testers? So let's taste this mold and see if this is good or if this will kill you.
Well, I'll say this. If molded cheese came out of a package, it's probably okay.
Well, yes, that's probably true. But when you went back to the beginnings of it all, because mold grows on just about anything if it's under the right conditions, right?
Anything old.
You know, I better check myself.
Hello, Pam. That's mold.
Okay, well, enjoy it if you like it. Today's your day. Also, one other thing to eat, it is a cupcake day, but it's not just any cake. It is National Pro-Life Cupcake Day.
Pro-life?
Yeah, they say cupcakes symbolize life, joy, and celebration, making them a fitting metaphor for the value of human life. So supporters of this day use cupcakes as a way to sweeten a conversation with someone else about life. Because that's what this is about. And cupcakes are good too. Yeah, not bad. Okay.
Well, do you like, but back to cheese. Do you like molded cheese?
Yeah, I do. I like smelly, big flavored. It's good stuff. And again, too, I think there's sometimes of the day that are better than others. But and also, do you put your cheese on something like a?
Well, that's where I was going next. What's your favorite cracker?
Something that is doesn't carry a lot of flavor.
Okay, so
I don't want flavor.
Triscuit's my flavor.
Yeah, Triscuit's good because it's pretty neutral.
Yeah, and it's high fiber. Neutral.
You gotta be conscious of
then
that.
you have to have your sugar-free 7-Up to wash it down.
Oh, okay. Sugar-free 7-Up, no less.
Yeah, I go to the...
Not Sprite.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Only if I have to.
All right. Do you want to know a little bit about flamingos? Huh? Check them out. There they are. I wanted to do this just because I love the video of the flamingos. But did you know there are more fake flamingos in the world than real ones?
Fake?
You know those yard ones? You see them out there?
Okay. Do you remember what went on here for years?
What?
They had this flamingo that was showing up in people's yards.
Yes.
Remember that?
I remember that.
And it ended up in the Dove front yard for a while.
Yes. Well, there are more of those than real flamingos.
Really?
And did you know a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance?
No.
Yes. And flamingo chicks are actually born white and develop their pink color as they grow. And their color, the pink, is due to beta carotene in their diet, primarily from shrimp and algae. And that's like salmon. You get farm salmon.
Right.
They have to add dye to those because they're not eating the natural foods
that won't pass RFK.
Yeah, so that won't pass RFK Jr. Oh no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I wonder how salmon dyes are gonna. If that's gonna come into play.
Go for it, man.
Hey. So
listen, flamingos. See all those pink flamingos?
Yeah.
We need a flock of those for Melinda's show.
Oh boy, yeah, that's
just have them walk around when she's doing her show.
Put them in the background.
Just put them in the background.
Yes, look at that.
Look at that. Everything pink for Melinda,
It's wonderful.
Okay, well, flamingos.
Yep. So we have moldy cheese and flamingos. What a combo!
What a combo.
Yeah.
Speaking of moldy.
Oh no.
He does the weather.
Look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a low pressure system moving over the top of our region, today a chance of rain with highs in the mid-60s for Vancouver and Portland, a chance of rain then partly sunny in Wilsonville and McMinnville with a high in the mid-60s. Moving down the Willamette Valley with a slight chance of rain this morning, then clearing to partly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light and variable wind. In central Oregon, a chance of showers then partly sunny near 71 in Prineville, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers in low to mid-60s for Bend and Sun River, sunny in Boise, Idaho with a high near 82. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers along the Oregon coast with highs near 65 in Coos Bay, 62 for Port Orford, and near 50 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 50s. A slight chance of showers across southern Oregon this morning, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Grants Pass, mostly cloudy in 68 in Medford, 66 in Ashland, and near 63 for Klamath Falls. Into northern California, a chance of rain in mid-60s in Wairika, a slight chance of showers, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Redding, mostly sunny in Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 73. A slight chance of drizzle across the Bay Area this morning, then mostly cloudy with highs near 68 for Santa Rosa and Napa, clearing to mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 70, and San Jose with a high near 73. A snapshot of your Thursday weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have incoming clouds, according to our moldy weather guy. And we have rain in the forecast. So
yeah, we do.
We need this. It's a beautiful time of the year, and I love fall's always my favorite. I guess that's the farm boy in me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because fall was when you take all of your hard work through the summer and you harvest it.
That's true. Now, so tell me why you like fall better than spring.
Color.
Oh.
And
yeah, okay.
I love the warm days, and I love the cool evenings.
All right.
And I think my two favorite would be fall and spring. If I had to choose between winter and summer, I'd probably choose winter.
I think I would too.
You know,
Yeah.
I like summer, but I don't like the hot part of summer.
Right, right.
So,
well, you know,
but you know, in heaven, it's going to be perfect, and we don't need any meteorologists. And we won't need any lawyers. I mean, there's two things in our life that we won't need up there.
Will they get in?
Well, the meteorologists will get in. It'll really be a vacation for them.
Okay.
The lawyers will be frustrated beyond measure. We may have to put them in their own section so they can sue each other.
Well, it's like that old joke where the pastor and the lawyer are going through, and, you know, St. Peter's walking them through heaven, and shows the pastor where he's going to live, what neighborhood. It's a little nice little track house, you know. It's little, and they take the lawyer, and he's got a big mansion, and he says, "You're going to live here." And the pastor says, "Wait a minute, I've been serving the Lord all my life. Everything, you can put me in a little track house, and this guy's a little shyster lawyer, and you're going to put him in the mansion." He goes, "Hey, we got a lot of pastors in heaven. This is the first lawyer that's made it."
Well, there you go.
Sorry. Anyway, time for a bit of encouragement this morning with Dr. David Jeremiah as he offers comfort through the words of Jesus in the upper room.
Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That was the promise that God gave. The Savior of the world wanted to teach his friends about heaven. Jesus began his words on a note of assurance. He said, "Don't let your heart be troubled." And the Good News Translation says, "Don't be worried and upset." Jesus said, "Believe in God and believe in me also." These words are for you. Imagine the Lord Jesus Christ standing here in all of his strength and splendor, looking at you in this beautiful theater and saying to you, "Don't be worried and upset. Don't be troubled." On that long ago night, amid the flickering torches of the upper room, the Lord Jesus had only one recommendation. You know what it was? Himself. He said, "You believe in God, believe in me."
All right. Isn't it interesting?
I
go to prepare a place for
I didn't realize the tie was coming. Yeah.
Poor lawyer, poor pastor.
I know. You know, we love all our lawyer friends. It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning to you. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday. Friday Eve. There we go. Good morning to you. Let's take a look at the top story. There's only one today, and it is big news. Apparently, Hamas has agreed to the phase one of the peace agreement that President Trump had put together, 20 points. And the phase one deals with the releasing of the hostages. Now, there's quite a bit of things out here as to what's going to happen with this phase. They're saying now that the 72-hour period started when they agreed, which was yesterday or late yesterday, and then it gets down to 48 hours, and they're thinking now it's possible that the hostages could be released as early as Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes. In the meantime, we have John Hannon. Now, he's a former senior fellow at the Washington Institute, former national security advisor to then Vice President Dick Cheney. He's worked for both administrations, Democrats and Republicans. He is a specialist in this area, national security expert. And here's what he had to say about the deal.
To be able to get those hostages back will have a huge healing effect on Israel, and it looks like, I think, this is the crucial step toward ending this war, for better or worse, because Hamas, remember, still exists and hasn't yet agreed to disarm. That's being left to future negotiations. But my guess is that Hamas has cashed in the only chips it has, all of its leverage, because it's gotten some pretty firm assurances, not only from these Arab states, who for the first time have come together and said to the president, we're prepared to help you end this war and to put our full power and influence behind it. And you've got a president of the United States who's prepared to give that kind of guarantee to Hamas as well to get these hostages back, that this is now going to be the end of this war. And we're going to leave everything else on the 20-point peace plan for future ongoing negotiations. But it's even if this is the only step we achieve, it is a huge diplomatic accomplishment for the President of the United States.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so he makes a couple of points there, if this is the only step that we make. So beyond this point, it's still pretty shaky, and it has to do with whether or not Hamas is going to agree to disarmament and having no place or say-so in the newly formed government for Gaza. So we'll see. Yeah. But this is resonating around the world. It went into effect 9 o'clock yesterday evening, Eastern time, and the 72-hour clock is ticking. President Trump says the deal triggers 72-hour countdown for Hamas to release 48 hostages from Gaza, and of which they believe 20 are alive, or 22 are alive, or something like that, and 20 are dead. So both the dead and the alive are the hostages. In the meantime, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanks the president for his role in this, and here's what the Prime Minister had to say. Okay, there we go.
From the very bottom of his heart, he thanks President Trump and his team for their unwavering commitment to the sacred mission to free our loved ones in Hamas captivity. Through steadfast resolve and powerful military action and the great efforts of our great friend and ally, President Trump, we have reached this incredible turning point. In a phone call earlier this morning, Prime Minister Netanyahu thanked President Trump for his global leadership efforts to make this all possible. It was a very emotional and a warm conversation as both leaders congratulated each other on this historic achievement. Tonight at 5 p.m. Israel time, there will be a cabinet meeting, and at 6 p.m. Israel time, there will be a government meeting taking place. Now, within 24 hours after the cabinet meeting takes place, a ceasefire will then begin in Gaza. The IDF will then redeploy to the yellow line as shown on maps, which have been widely distributed at this point in time. And now after this 24-hour period, the 72-hour time window will then begin, where all of our hostages will be released back into Israel. Now, the final draft of Phase 1 was signed this morning in Egypt by all parties to release all of the hostages. And the IDF will then redeploy to that yellow line we mentioned, which will lead to the military controlling and holding about 53% of the Gaza Strip. Now, Phase 1 stands very clear. All of our hostages, the living and deceased, will be released 72 hours later, which will bring us to Monday. Israel is preparing to receive our hostages in all conditions they may be in. This comes with the help from specialists and all main hospitals in Israel. They are ready with robust procedures that are in place. Israel is anticipating the handover of our hostages to be conducted with respect and decorum from Hamas, and will have no tolerance for our hostages to be paraded around like we have seen in the past. Hostages will then be transferred into the hands of specialized IDF forces.
Okay, she is Shash Bedrosian. She's the Israeli spokesperson for the Prime Minister. Sorry about that. But there gives the countdown of what's going to happen, and we'll see. Here we go. I understand the president's planning on being in Israel Sunday.
Yeah.
So this is phase one.
And he mentioned, and we're not sure when the hostages may be released. We're hearing Saturday, Sunday, or even maybe Monday, as President Trump weighed in. I think one of the things that struck me was the amount of effort behind the scenes by the team that's working for the president. He mentioned that. I heard a clip this morning coming in, and on that he mentioned J.D. Vance, he mentioned Marco Rubio, a number of others, but also a name popped up that kind of caught me by surprise, and that's Jared Kushner. That's his son-in-law.
Well, he was the architect of the Abraham Accord.
Yes.
So I would say his three confidants would be the Vice President, Secretary of State, and his son-in-law.
And his son-in-law, yes, absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. If this holds, does Donald Trump, the President of the United States, get the Nobel Peace Prize?
Who knows?
And what he has said, they'll never give it to me. He has said that. I would like to know, if he pulls this off, who could they give it to?
Well,
and for what?
You got, to your point that you keep reminding me of,
okay,
the syndrome is deeper than anybody can imagine.
It is true.
And
yes.
so I don't know that. I mean, obviously he would deserve it.
Yeah,
okay, but I don't know that.
Well, they might give it to Barack again for the same reason they gave him last time.
They could.
No reason.
No reason.
Right, because he got elected president.
But here's the tickler to this.
What?
This is phase one, which is the release of the hostages. Okay? And then Israel agrees to pull their military back to an agreed line. I don't know where that line is, but they're going to pull back a little bit. All right, that still leaves the core of Gaza controlled by Hamas. And if Hamas doesn't agree to disarm, then phase two could be another trigger point.
Oh, yeah.
And if that was to erupt, which I think there's a probability that it could, that could disqualify him from being considered for the Nobel Peace Prize, because they're going to say, you got to remember the news cycle in America. I'm going to say this because it really bothers me.
What?
We've already forgotten Charlie Kirk was assassinated live on American television.
That is so true. Yes.
And these hostages will come home, and 3 days later it'll be another headline, and it will pass. That's the cycle we're in.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm not trying to be cynical here. It's just that the news cycle in America is so fast and so unforgiving. You know, it's an amazing time. All right. Well, praise the Lord that the peace deal is being agreed to, phase one. And the next several days is going to be pretty critical. All right, molded cheese, not for breakfast, but he would, I wouldn't. And we'll be right back.
Where big ideas grow.
At Rogue Hearing in Phoenix, we help you hear life again, clearly and comfortably. From expert hearing tests to custom aids and more, the team at Rogue Hearing delivers care you can trust. Rogue Hearing in Phoenix at the shops at Exit 24. Personalized hearing care right here at home.
Men of Southern Oregon, we are thrilled to announce that our next Game Changers, we are bringing in author and speaker Lee Strobel. If you're not familiar with Lee Strobel, he wrote The Case for Faith, The Case for Christ. He is the man behind the movie The Case for Christ, and he's got a new book out called Seeing the Supernatural. Recently, he's been featured on The Sean Ryan Show. He's been featured on Tucker Carlson. A lot of his books address big questions that believers have, and even the unbelieving world, about heaven, about Jesus. Can we trust the resurrection? He was formerly an atheist, and through his research, he came to the faith. I'm super excited for you guys to experience Game Changers at Edgewater Christian Fellowship with Lee Strobel. Get signed up. It's November 2nd, 6 p.m. God bless you guys.
They're fun-loving twins. They love God, hunting, and pranking each other. Join the Hamptons for outdoor adventure every weekend on Twin Factor. Brought to you by Black Flag Armory in Medford and Grants Pass. Truly excellent service.
Welcome back on a beautiful fall Thursday morning, 22 minutes past the hour. My older identical twin brother, Jerry, and I are...
Yes, here we are. Moldy and everything.
So I want to know if you're the Schwarzenegger or the Danny.
Am I DeVito or Schwarzenegger? Oh, man.
Okay.
I'm passing.
All right. Anyway, good morning to you. 22 minutes past the hour. Some regional news. The Oregon National Guard, the California National Guard, and any National Guard is not allowed into Portland these days. The Federal Appeals Court did overturn the judge's order that had blocked President Trump from calling the National Guard. However, all of this is in a stay. In a brief order yesterday, a three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit of Appeals said its decisions best preserves the status quo. The argument heard arguments yesterday and whether to pause the U.S. district injunction or to let it go. So it's kind of sitting there in the courts. Now, what's so interesting about this, everybody now knows there's a problem in Portland. Why doesn't the state and the city fix it?
Yeah.
Why isn't the state and the city solving the problem? If you don't want the National Guard, then fix the problem.
Yeah. And you know what I think their fix to the problem would be? Eliminating ICE from the city. Because they side with the protesters over the federal agents.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
And now we know that there's money involved. They're tracking it. There was a panel yesterday. They had a sit-down panel yesterday, and they're now beginning to connect the dots. These protesters are not only being paid, some of them.
Right.
The money is coming from foreign countries. It's coming from billionaires within the country.
Yeah.
These are paid insurrectionists, and somehow we can't use the term insurrection to get anything done.
No,
so it's pretty crazy.
Isn't that interesting? It's one of those words that can be applied to one situation if it fits a narrative for the Democrats and not to another. Interesting.
All right. Back to the Palisades fire.
Yes.
This is an interesting story.
Yes.
They may have found the person who caused it. And this is really something. And so here's a report from the Palisades Fire Department.
Today, we are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses, and damaging over 1,000 more buildings. The complaint unsealed today charges the defendant with destruction of property by means of fire, a felony that carries a mandatory minimum 5-year federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. The defendant was arrested yesterday on a federal criminal complaint near his Florida residence, and he's expected to make his initial appearance today in the federal court in Orlando, Florida. The allegations in the affidavit are supported by digital evidence, including the defendant's ChatGPT prompt of a dystopian painting showing in part a burning forest and a crowd fleeing from it. Late last New Year's Eve, Rinderknecht returned to Pacific Palisades after working the evening shift as an Uber driver. 2 of his passengers told law enforcement that he appeared agitated and angry that night. After dropping off a passenger in Pacific Palisades, Rinderknecht parked his car and tried and failed to contact a former friend. He exited the car, walked up a nearby trail, took iPhone videos at a nearby hilltop, and listened to a rap song whose music video including objects being lit on fire. The defendant had listened to this song and watched its music video repeatedly in the days leading up to the Lockman fire. 12 minutes into the new year, environmental sensing platforms indicated that a fire had started. It took the defendant several tries to contact 911 to report the fire. He fled the scene in his car, but turned around after passing fire engines driving in the opposite direction to fight the fire.
That's something.
I have a question. 12 people died in that fire. Should murder charges be filed against this individual?
Well, I don't know if the term murder is, but I think that, look, he should, I don't know what the term is. I don't know if this would be second-degree murder or...
Yeah.
But to
yes.
your point, yes, 12 people died. 5 years seems to be nothing.
Yeah, it could be 5 to 20, yeah.
5 and 20.
Even that seems like...
It does, but it looks like somebody's done their research here and done their investigation and came up and connected all the dots.
Yeah.
But he was an Uber driver out there, and he was listening to a rap song, and away he went.
Yeah.
So they got him.
They got him. Yeah.
He probably has no means or resources to do anything. And he's going to get free representation, and
right,
here we go.
which is part of our democracy.
Yeah, so
yes.
here it goes. But you know, hopefully this brings some closure. And I got to tell you that there's other parts of this story, and that is, does this let the power company off the hook?
Oh, well, you would think that it might.
It might.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was a windy day, dry place. Everything was, you know.
Right. If they had nothing to do...
does it let the state off the hook for not having water in the reservoir?
Well, that's a different subject.
See?
Yeah.
All right, take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on. Incoming, folks. See that little thing in there? Oh, I'm talking about weather here.
Yeah.
Okay, and started to cool down pretty rapidly yesterday. The wind was huffing and puffing, so here we go.
My goodness, look at all the rain.
Yeah.
It's coming our way. I'm telling you, get ready.
Get ready.
Yes.
All those systems out there circulate and bring some moisture. Happy, 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 happy.
Well, the government's still shut down, isn't it?
9th day.
9th day.
Yeah.
They're still doing the blame game.
Oh, sure.
You know, even Schumer's shutdown won't be accepted by the left, but that's what it's being called in many places. But when you think about it, you know, obviously this is a battle about the budget. And speaking of the budget, the levels that we're spending, can we continue to do that? Is it sustainable?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Yeah. Well, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget President Maya McGinney spoke with Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo about her concerns over the government's unsustainable spending levels.
We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care. I will say this, just hang in there, because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say. I mean, I think a lot of good things could happen, and that could also pertain to health care.
Well, government shutdowns are never a sensible way to run the government, obviously. This leaves our government fighting while our enemies around the world, their governments are laughing at us, and it's clearly a sign of dysfunction. One of the deeper concerns is that the fight that we're having about reopening the government is not about how to fix our fiscal situation, which it occasionally has been in the past. It's actually a debate about whether to keep spending levels where they are in discretionary spending, or to increase them, to spend more on health care, and not by paying for it, but rather by borrowing, which would add more to the national debt. So I've got two huge concerns here. Our fiscal situation is unsustainable, and our government is not able to operate in a way that is dealing with all of these challenges. And the huge level of polarizations are making these fiscal challenges even more difficult to address. So I remain deeply concerned that we can't operate right now.
You know, she makes a very good point. Why doesn't, and it's easy for us as armchair advisors.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the president address the American people? Folks, we cannot sustain this budget anymore. We can't add any more to it. We have got to stop spending. We have got to get this budget under control. If he would take a very proactive business approach to this, he doesn't even have to point his finger at Schumer, because Schumer's argument is increase the budget.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The president's argument, no, we need to decrease the budget.
Yeah.
There isn't a person out there, especially a young household that doesn't understand you can't spend more than you take in.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so pretty simple stuff. All right, home of simplicity right here. We'll take a simple break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sherry Breslin with Rogue Valley Security. Whether it's alarms, cameras, keyless entry, or even Starlink, we tailor solutions for your home or business. We believe in professionalism, excellence, and integrity. Every job, every time. Visit RogueValleySecurity.com.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott
to making RV consignment effortless.
American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
All right, welcome back. Happy Thursday to you. The big news is that Hamas has agreed to accept phase 1 of the peace plan. And as you can imagine, this is big news globally, all over. Everybody's talking about it. So let's check in with CBN Newswatch and see what they have to say.
This is CBN Newswatch.
It is Thursday, the 9th of October. We're going to begin this half hour with a historic peace deal in the Middle East. The agreement sets the stage for a post-war Gaza and Middle East. Now, the families of all the hostages wait for their loved ones after more than 700 days in Hamas captivity. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story. He's reporting now from Jerusalem.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You did it! Some of the hostage families celebrated with President Trump over the phone. Others celebrated in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square. President Trump praised the deal on Fox News with Sean Hannity.
So great for Israel, so great for Muslims, for the Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, and that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years they talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East.
He talked about what's coming.
You'll see Gaza being rebuilt. We're forming a council that the Council of Peace, we think it's going to be called, and it's going to be very powerful. And it's going to really, I think to a large extent, it's going to have a lot to do with the whole Gaza situation. People are going to be taken care of. It's going to be a different world. I think really the Middle East came together.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released this statement. With the approval of the first phase of the plan, all our hostages will be brought home. This is a diplomatic success and a national and moral victory for the State of Israel. From the beginning, I made it clear we will not rest until all our hostages return and all our goals are achieved. Through steadfast resolve, powerful military action, and the great efforts of our great friend and ally, President Trump, we have reached this critical turning point. President Trump is expected to arrive in Israel on Sunday to celebrate the agreement. The hostages are expected to be released on Monday, an achievement Israelis and others worldwide have hoped for and prayed for more than 2 years.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now to continue our coverage. So, Chris, where do we go from here? What does the Israeli government see as the next step?
Well, apparently, Ephraim, the deal was signed at noon local time here in Israel. And in about an hour or so, the Israeli cabinet's going to meet to approve the deal. Even some of the people that have been opposing it seems they'll support it. And then about a couple of hours, the entire government will meet, the Knesset, to approve the deal. And then within 24 hours, we believe, IDF forces will begin to withdraw from Gaza to what's called the Yellow Line. That's a line that President Trump has set. And then that leaves Israel in control of just more than 50% of Gaza. Then we expect that within 72 hours, the hostages should be back on Israeli soil. And as we said, it looks like President Trump is expected to arrive Sunday, and then he will address the Israeli Knesset. In the meantime, Israel's going to release about 1,700 Palestinian prisoners, 250 of them serving life sentences. So it's expected that by Monday, the first phase of the deal will be completed.
How can Israel be sure Hamas will disarm, and how can the peace plan be enforced?
Well, it's a great question, Ephraim. This will be the second phase. It begins after the release of all the hostages. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham, he weighed in on this, and he said, as to the second phase, it's imperative that Hamas completely disarms. They must be written out of any future of any Palestinian government, and anything short of that will only get us back to the old ways. So how can this be enforced? There is talk of what's called the International Stabilization Force. That would be made up, we believe, of many Sunni nations, maybe Saudi Arabia, UAE could be participating in that. Would the IDF play a role in actually disarming Hamas, and how long are they going to remain, and where are they going to be? And are Hamas and Israel on the same page in terms of disarmament? And also another question, is Israel and Egypt on the same page? Egypt reportedly says they won't allow Israel to maintain a permanent presence along the Egyptian border. Israel's insisting it's got to remain. And the Rafah area right along the Egyptian-Gazan border has in the past been the site of a lot of smuggling activity. In fact, that's how Hamas got much of its weaponry for years and years. So that could be a point of dispute going into the second phase.
Well, here we go, huh? We'll see how this all works out. All right, good morning to you. Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, according to Mr. Rudd.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a low-pressure system moving over the top of our region, today a chance of rain with highs in the mid-60s for Vancouver and Portland, a chance of rain then partly sunny in Wilsonville and McMinnville with a high in the mid-60s. Moving down the Willamette Valley with a slight chance of rain this morning, then clearing to partly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light and variable wind. In Central Oregon, a chance of showers, then partly sunny near 71 in Prineville, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and low to mid-60s for Bend and Sun River, sunny in Boise, Idaho with a high near 82. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers along the Oregon coast with highs near 65 in Coos Bay, 62 for Port Orford and near 50 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 50s. A slight chance of showers across southern Oregon this morning, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Grants Pass, mostly cloudy in 68 in Medford, 66 in Ashland, and near 63 for Klamath Falls. Into northern California, a chance of rain in mid-60s in Wairika, a slight chance of showers, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Redding, mostly sunny in Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 73. A slight chance of drizzle across the Bay Area this morning, then mostly cloudy with highs near 68 for Santa Rosa and Napa, clearing to mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 70, and San Jose with a high near 73. A snapshot of your Thursday weather from Grange Co-op.
Hey, look at that. And just to let Jerry know, that's 270 degrees.
Thank you very much.
Looking directly west this morning, and some clouds you can see coming in as more weather's coming our way, and then the leftover evening lights of the valley. So a beautiful shot this morning.
Absolutely. Well, it was back in the 1800s. A guy had an idea that has changed the way we shop to this very day. On October 9, 1872, a Chicago salesman named Aaron Montgomery Ward changed the way America shopped without ever opening a store. That day, he mailed out the nation's first mail-order catalog, a single sheet of paper offering 163 items at fair prices delivered right to the customer's door. For many rural families, especially those living miles from the nearest town, Ward's idea was revolutionary. It meant they could buy clothing, tools, and household goods the same as city shoppers, no long journeys, no middlemen, and no inflated prices. Ward's tiny startup soon became Montgomery Ward, a retail giant and the model for the American catalog industry. And in a way, today's online shopping, just a click and delivery away, traces its roots back to that simple 1872 mailer. Aaron Montgomery Ward didn't just sell products, he delivered access, convenience, and a new way to connect a nation of customers. And yet they missed the boat on the modern catalog shopping experience. And it was taken over by Amazon.
So did Sears.
So did Sears. How did that happen? Were they? Wouldn't you love to question the board and say, "What were you thinking?"
Well, I think it's complacency.
Yeah, you know what?
You get in there.
Right.
You know what? It's just a matter of time somebody comes up against Amazon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There'll be some specialty mail order people,
right?
And that'll take from Amazon. You know? I mean, this is called marketing. This is called capitalism.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so
did you guys, when you were a kid, did you shop out of the Monkey Wars catalog? Remember that?
Well, I remember going through it. I certainly remember the Sears catalog. The Monkey Ward, Monkey Ward, and the Sears catalog were in every outhouse in America.
You're right. Well, we'll end it on that.
You know, the only problem was
what?
The cell phone wasn't invented then. And they could have ordered right then and there. All right, we better get out of here. Hey, Senator John Kennedy. I like this guy. He's fun to watch. Man, his one-liners are wonderful. He was on Fox News talking about Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer actually said this. Listen to this. Chuck Schumer actually said that 50% of Trump's followers like what Chuck Schumer is doing. So here's John Kennedy's response.
Are you worried about the pressure that you're getting from your left flank, and is that part of the reason that you've engaged?
No, the bottom line is very simple. We're fighting for the American people. And it's not just one small group of American people that want this. It's across the board. 55% of Trump voters, hardly a flank in our party, want this. That's why we're doing it. We believe that's our job.
Well, I listened to the clip of Senator Schumer. His relationship with the truth is very casual. The truth is that this is a political shutdown. Senator Schumer he's nervous as a pregnant nun about losing his reelection to the socialist wing of his party, led by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, which is in control. Now, we will eventually come out of this shutdown. Here's how I think it will happen. Senator Schumer, is a smart man. He's been around a long time. His first car was a Chariot. Washington is all he's ever known his entire life. He knows he's on shaky ground here in terms of policy. So here's how I think it'll end. Schumer will go to 6 or 8 of his colleagues and say, Democrats, of course, and say, I want you to vote to lift the shutdown. Now, he'll say, I can't vote with you. I've got to appear to be tough. I may even have to criticize you, but wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm trying to make the loon wing of the party love me, but you bail me out here. But he's got to be careful with that because he doesn't want it to look like a mutiny, because then he looks even weaker.
Well, there you go. A little inside baseball there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's
How nervous is Schumer?
Well, wow. Well, the best one is he's talking about AOC.
Yeah.
He said that's the reason there's instructions on a shampoo bottle. Boy, his one-liners are just terrific.
They're fantastic.
Oh, they're great. Well, there you go. So how much longer? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll take a nervous break. We'll be right back.
Oh, gosh.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Every day in Southern Oregon, lives are shaken by poverty, violence, and hardship. Last year alone, the Salvation Army reached more than 11,000 people in Jackson County with food, shelter, and critical support. Behind every meal served, every family housed, and every life restored, there's a volunteer making it happen. Please join us. There are many ways you can volunteer and make a difference in someone's life today. The Salvation Army doing the most good together. This message made possible by the Oregon Health Authority Hospital-Based Intervention Grant.
Mornings on the Dove is unlike anything you'll experience. Not only will we fulfill our goal to bring you encouragement, but we'll also fulfill our goal in bringing you information that you need.
I think the biggest thing that we are hoping to accomplish in the morning show and bring to the viewers is hope. As we look at the events that are swirling around us, seemingly at times that are way beyond our control, we look to the hope that we have in Jesus Christ and what he has given for us.
We select the top stories. We try to make you informed so you're a good citizen to start your day, but most of all to give you the encouragement so that you can have a good day and a happy day.
We seem to have a lot of fun on camera because we are having a lot of fun on camera. We have a great rapport. We go back and forth. Perry's like one of the funniest guys I've ever seen.
Wake up to hope. Watch Mornings on the Dove. Weekdays only on the Dove TV.
Well, welcome back. 11 minutes before the hour. A little bit of a rhetorical question, but it also could be very personal. Do you hear the voice of God? You know, I don't think there is a person out there that sooner or later wants to hear God say something to them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that even non-believers, as they're all saying, there's no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But the point being is, I think all of us become desperate at times to hear from God. And now, some will claim they've heard the audible voice. I don't know, but I think God can speak loud and clear in your spirit and in your heart.
Yep.
And so I had Pastor Rick Boya on, and we talked about hearing the voice of God. Now, his answer is a little bit longer than this clip, so let me encourage you that if you want to see this whole answer, and it is brilliant, you can go to thedove.us and click on Focus on the Family, or Focus Today, and you'll see Rick's video there. But here's a little bit how he answered that question.
Is that in order to hear from the Lord and not a false spirit, and there are many false spirits, you have to be in covenant with him. You have to actually, and by that I mean the new covenant. You need to be in Christ. If you are in Christ, then he promises, my sheep hear my voice. And a lot of people wonder whether that's the case. It is the case. And the Lord is communicating all the time with us. He's drawing us in all the time. The key is not so much is he speaking. The key is, am I listening, and if so, how? And there are several ways in which we really do hear the Lord. First, being in covenant with him. Of course, that includes prayer. Prayer, by the way, is automatic for Christians. They constantly are open in their spirit toward the Lord, even when they don't realize it. Okay, so prayer is a constant thing. But so if you're saying, okay, I'm open to the Lord speaking to me, I'm like in your truck talking out loud to the Lord, how do I know when he speaks to me the difference between my thoughts and his thoughts? That actually becomes a crucial aspect of hearing. Because when a person becomes Christian, God's mind actually joins them. It's regeneration. His mind comes in, and so a lot of times when you hear him, you feel like, is that me? Because it feels like one of my thoughts. And it's actually him joined with you, teaching you how to think, teaching you how to feel, and so on and so forth. Almost every believer in Jesus Christ has had that experience. But they've also realized sometimes, I found out it was just me. I found out later, can I really trust that intuitive, still small voice is what Christians call it, the still small voice. So there are ways of thinking with the Lord that enable us to discern his voice and understand what he's saying within us.
Wow. So there's two things here that was a takeaway. You, first of all, as a believer, do you believe that the Bible is the inerrant word of God? And if you struggle with that question, there's a high probability you're not going to hear the voice of God.
Yeah.
So if you accept the Bible as the inerrant word of God, then God obviously, the Lord obviously uses the Bible to speak to you, and then he adds to that circumstances and other things that's going around. So the combination of things, that's how God can speak to you. And the other thing is, the scripture is very clear, be still and know that I'm God. You cannot hear God in the rush hour. You got to practice solitude. And I don't know where your space and time and location is, but you got to have solitude in your life, or you're going to hear everything but God. You'll hear your phone telling you your pizza's ready.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned, you won't hear God in the traffic. Sometimes in the traffic, you may hear another voice, though. Don't respond to it. You know, that one that says, hey, get out of my way.
Oh,
that voice.
Yeah, that one could be a little violent. So
yeah, but a great answer there. And so you say the rest of that answer is where? Where can we
go to theDove.us, and you'll see the Focus Today tab, and go down and you'll see all the guests that we have there, but you can revisit that. I had them on for a whole half hour. I'm telling you, the whole thing was brilliant.
Yeah.
Just brilliant.
All right. So who you got coming up today?
I got Dr. Stanley Rigby will be with us. He's a clinical full professor at strategic management at Drexel University. We'll be talking about how DEI got exposed. And let's see, Michael Letts will be with us. We'll get an update of what's happening in Chicago and maybe even our own backyard. And let me ask you this.
Okay.
AI.
Yeah.
I have seen the good of it.
Okay.
And I have seen the red flag of it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, I've got another rescue story. And this one is a hero that comes with a bark and a wagging tail. Check this out.
In Florida, an 86-year-old woman who went missing while walking her son's dog was rescued thanks to that very same dog. When she didn't return home, her husband called deputies for help. Deputy Devon Miller began searching the neighborhood when suddenly, out of the darkness, the dog appeared, still on his leash, walking straight toward her patrol car. "Hi, baby, where's your mama?" Miller asked on body cam video. Moments later, the dog led her directly to his grandmother, who had fallen and couldn't get up. The woman was alert and injured, but the dog stayed by her side, calm and protective, as paramedics arrived. She's now recovering from minor injuries, and as Sheriff Eric Aiden said, Deputy Miller wanted no credit, calling the dog the true hero of the night. God. Because sometimes loyalty really does save lives.
About that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I saw a story once about a hiker who was out in the desert, and she fell down into a ravine, and she broke herself so bad she couldn't get back up, and her dog ran back to the parking lot, and eventually rescuers came out days later, and she was just hanging on by a thread, and they saw the dog, and they tried to scoop it up, and the dog took off running, and they kept chasing it, and it kept running until it ran them right to her. Dogs are amazing.
They are. And it's amazing how that instinct kicks in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. All right, good morning to you. James chapter 1, verse 26. Now listen to this very carefully. If anyone among you thinks he's religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, that's one's religion is useless. So the greatest task for you today is control your tongue. And it's hard to do in today's world.
Yes, it is.
All right, beautiful shot. Incoming rain later this evening. Beautiful shot of Southern Oregon.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Hey, it's your old car here. Remember me? Remember us? You barely even turn me on anymore. It's clear you don't need me, but that's perfectly fine, my friend. Because you can choose to give this old car new purpose and donate. There are incredible nonprofits out there that accept cars just like me. So call or donate online. Donating a vehicle is easy, the pickup is free, and your gift is tax deductible.
Watch the 700 Club every weekday. We bring you compelling interviews with the information you need for better health, stronger finances, and a more abundant life. Every day you'll hear inspiring stories from right here at home and across the globe. We cover the issues that matter most to you and your family for thoughtful analysis and insight into the news of the day from a biblical perspective.
Watch the 700 Club Thursday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Southern Oregon and the Rogue Valley. Seen on KDOV 18, KDSO 24, and these Dove TV affiliates.
What? We're here.
Yes.
Hi, good morning to you. I welcome my much older Identical twin brother?
Yeah, we're twins, all right. Yes. Kind of like the movie.
I don't know if you're Arnold or you're the other guy.
I'm Danny.
You're Danny?
I might be Danny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning to you. What's up, Ben?
Well, we only have a couple things. We can eat both of them. And the first one may not be for everybody, but boy, I sure like it. It's National Moldy Cheese Day. The moldy friends that we celebrate today are the artistic streaks of blue, gray, green, and sometimes some other colors as well. They are specific strains of the penicillium that are intentionally introduced to cheeses. They create the bold flavors and creamy textures that many of us love. And are you one of the many?
Well, I have to be in the mood.
Okay.
I can't do it in the morning. I can do it in the evening. I got to have a great cracker to go with it.
Yeah.
Which is the
Triscuit?
Trixits.
Yeah,
I like Trixits. They actually make different flavored Trixits.
That's right, and I want one that's more neutral. If I'm getting a bold flavored cheese, I don't want the flavor of the cracker to interfere with the cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do that. I do that with a schmear of smoked salmon too. I like to take a very neutral cracker, put a little schmear of cream cheese on it, and then put smoked salmon on top of it. Oh.
So anyway,
sorry.
I don't know, moldy cheese. I have to be in the mood.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you got to have something to wash it down with, and I like sugar-free 7-Up.
This is getting very specific. Not Sprite.
No.
Okay.
No, not Sprite.
All right. We have one other thing to eat, and it's no ordinary thing. It's a cupcake, but it is National Pro-Life Cupcake Day. And cupcakes symbolize life, joy, and celebration, making them a fitting metaphor for the value of human life. And supporters of this day use cupcakes as a way to sweeten a conversation with someone else about life. How about that? I didn't know this.
That's cool.
It's interesting, and it is an interesting metaphor, cupcakes, and then talk about life. And it's an important conversation, and I think, you know, it's one of those things that it's hard in our current culture because not everybody values life the same way, do they?
No, we have lost the value of human life.
Really have, yeah. So anyway, share a cupcake today. And on a lighter note, how do you like flamencos?
Well, you know, there was a time, look at them there.
They're beautiful.
There was a big pink flamingo that was moving around yard to yard here in Southern Oregon.
Okay, yeah.
And you didn't know where it was going to end up. And I think I know who started it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But they would just put the flamingo at night in somebody's yard. Okay, and then that person the next night would pick it up and put it in somebody else's yard.
Oh, wow.
Well, a couple of times they ended up in front of the Dove.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yes,
but anyway, pink flamingos reminds me of
that incident. Well, and that's a good one to recall too, because did you know there are actually more fake flamingos in the world than real ones? Really? Like that yard flamingo you're referring to. Yes. And a group of flamingos is called a flamboyant. And flamingo chicks
not a flock?
No, not a flock.
Not
it's
a
a
band?
flamboyant. No, they're flamboyant.
Okay.
Very fitting, isn't it? And flamingo chicks are born white. They develop their pink color as they grow, and that pink color is due to the beta-carotene in their diet, primarily from shrimp and algae, just like salmon. That's how we get that pink meat in the salmon. Same thing. So
Okay.
there you go.
You know, the older I get, the more my legs look like that.
You know what doesn't work with age? Skinny jeans.
There's an old saying, the older you get, the more interested you become in medical science.
Yeah, and you know what? You become experts in certain fields of medical science, don't you?
Well, those pink flamingos, that reminds me of Melinda's show. And
oh, gosh, yeah.
We're going to launch it here shortly, but it's got a lot of pink in it.
I can't wait.
I think we ought to get a couple of those fake flamingos
for the set.
And while she's doing her show, just have them kind of move in on her.
Well, you know what? We could put those flamingos back here, and they could be flying in and out. What a concept.
All right.
All right, that's what we got.
All right, good stuff all the way around. Well, speaking of mold, He does the weather here.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a low pressure system moving over the top of our region, today a chance of rain with highs in the mid-60s for Vancouver and Portland, a chance of rain then partly sunny in Wilsonville and McMinnville with a high in the mid-60s. Moving down the Willamette Valley with a slight chance of rain this morning, then clearing to partly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light and variable wind. In Central Oregon, a chance of showers then partly sunny near 71 in Prineville, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers in low to mid-60s for Bend and Sun River, sunny in Boise, Idaho with a high near 82. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers along the Oregon coast with highs near 65 in Coos Bay, 62 for Port Orford and near 50 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 50s. A slight chance of showers across southern Oregon this morning, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Grants Pass, mostly cloudy in 68 in Medford, 66 in Ashland, and near 63 for Klamath Falls. Into northern California, a chance of rain in mid-60s in Wairika, a slight chance of showers, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Redding, mostly sunny in Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 73. A slight chance of drizzle across the Bay Area this morning, then mostly cloudy with highs near 68 for Santa Rosa and Napa, clearing to mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 70, and San Jose with a high near 73. A snapshot of your Thursday weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, a beautiful shot of southern Oregon there this morning, and that is at the south end of the valley, down towards Ashland and that part. And looking way out there, you can see Jacksonville. What a beautiful shot, and incoming clouds with rain a little bit later on this evening.
Yep, coming in tonight, and boy, it's going to be here for a while, too. So, okay, here's a rhetorical question, and if you want to comment, you can, but what comes to mind when you think of heaven?
Heaven?
Heaven. And, you know, it may be a lot different for a lot of different people.
Sleeping in?
Sleeping, yeah. You sleep. Will we sleep in heaven? Okay.
Will we sleep in heaven?
Let's look to Dr. David Jeremiah as he looks at what Jesus said about the home that he's preparing for you.
The Father's house is where God lives, and there are many mansions there. And the Greek word for mansion means a place to stay, a dwelling, a home. But mansion is a perfectly good word to describe any kind of place in heaven is a mansion compared to what we got down here. Amen? Amen. Heaven is not a feeling. It's not a fantasy. It's a prepared place for a prepared people. We're going to gather there, and we're going to congregate there, and we're going to interact there, and we're going to enjoy our time. Jesus said something really comforting. He said, I go to prepare a place for you. He didn't just say heaven is real. He said it's personal. A place for you, a place for me. When you get there, what will happen? In the first few moments of your existence in heaven, you're going to go, whew. So that's what I've been waiting for. Amen. Remember, we're not home yet. Remember the old spiritual, this world is not my home, I'm just a passing through? Well, that's true. The Bible describes us as pilgrims and strangers on this earth. We may have our own homes, even beautiful ones, but they're only temporary because we're not here for long, are we? Heaven is your forever home, which you will enjoy in a resurrected body with a glorious friend named Jesus Christ.
Wow, beautiful. Wow.
Wow, that's so good. Now, you ask a great question. Will we sleep in heaven?
Will we? Yeah. Because, you know, sleep is dear to many of us.
Does God sleep?
That's a big question.
Does the Holy Spirit sleep?
No.
And the Holy Spirit's living in you.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't get any sleep last night.
It could be.
All right, good morning to you. 10 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at the top story of the day. Pretty amazing story developing and has developed, and that is Hamas has agreed to the ceasefire in Gaza and the releasing of the hostages. Stage 1 of the 20-point peace plan that the president put together. This is an amazing thing that's going on here. We're still trying to get all the bits and pieces of it together. John Hannon. John is the former senior fellow at the Washington Institute. He is also the national security advisor to former Vice President Dick Cheney. He's also foreign policy advisor to both Democrats and Republican administration, and currently he is a national security expert. And here's what he said about the deal.
To be able to get those hostages back will have a huge healing effect on Israel, and it looks like, I think, this is the crucial step toward ending this war, for better or worse, because Hamas, remember, still exists and hasn't yet agreed to disarm. That's being left to future negotiations. But my guess is that Hamas has cashed in the only chips it has, all of its leverage, because it's gotten some pretty firm assurances, not only from these Arab states, who for the first time have come together and said to the president, we're prepared to help you end this war and to put our full power and influence behind it. And you've got a president of the United States who's prepared to give that kind of guarantee to Hamas as well to get these hostages back, that this is now going to be the end of this war, and we're going to leave everything else on the 20-point peace plan for future ongoing negotiations. But it's even if this is the only step we achieve, it is a huge diplomatic accomplishment for the President of the United States.
Yeah.
This is stunning.
Yeah.
Now, the timeline is working out. This all started last night at 9 o'clock, at least the 72-hour period. So they're saying now the hostage release could be anywhere from Saturday to Monday. So we got this clip earlier today from Shosh Bedrosian, was an Israeli spokesperson inside the Knesset, and here's what she had to say.
From the very bottom of his heart, he thanks President Trump and his team for their unwavering commitment to the sacred mission to free our loved ones in Hamas captivity. Through steadfast resolve and powerful military action and the great efforts of our great friend and ally, President Trump, we have reached this incredible turning point. In a phone call earlier this morning, Prime Minister Netanyahu thanked President Trump for his global leadership efforts to make this all possible. It was a very emotional and a warm conversation as both leaders congratulated each other on this historic achievement. Tonight at 5 p.m. Israel time, there will be a cabinet meeting, and at 6 p.m. Israel time, there will be a government meeting taking place. Now, within 24 hours after the cabinet meeting takes place, a ceasefire will then begin in Gaza. The IDF will then redeploy to the yellow line as shown on maps, which have been widely distributed at this point in time. And now after this 24-hour period, the 72-hour time window will then begin, where all of our hostages will be released back into Israel. Now, the final draft of Phase 1 was signed this morning in Egypt by all parties to release all of the hostages. And the IDF will then redeploy to that yellow line we mentioned, which will lead to the military controlling and holding about 53% of the Gaza Strip. Now, Phase 1 stands very clear. All of our hostages, the living and deceased, will be released 72 hours later, which will bring us to Monday. Israel is preparing to receive our hostages in all conditions they may be in. This comes with the help from specialists and all main hospitals in Israel. They are ready with robust procedures that are in place. Israel is anticipating the handover of our hostages to be conducted with respect and decorum from Hamas, and will have no tolerance for our hostages to be paraded around like we have seen in the past. Hostages will then be transferred into the hands of specialized IDF forces.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, praise the Lord. And we find out now that the president will be flying to Israel on Sunday.
Yeah.
This is absolutely historic. There's no question about it. And we pray that this will all happen according to plan.
Yeah.
The Israeli ceasefire, the pullback to the yellow line. I've seen the yellow line. I don't know where it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it on a map, and I'm not sure what it means. It's other than this. It's a pullback from the center of Gaza.
Yeah.
And so here we go. Now, this is Phase 1. Phase 2 could still be problematic, and that's where Hamas is not agreeing to disarm, and that could be, phase 2 could be trouble.
Yeah, and it was interesting, too, on the way in, I heard a clip of the president talking about his team and giving credit to those who are working behind the scenes for this agreement. And he mentioned a few, including J.D. Vance, the vice president, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and a number of others. But a name popped up that really got my attention. It was Jared Kushner, and that is his son-in-law. Yeah. And I haven't heard much activity from him in this administration. We saw he was quite active in the first Trump administration, but obviously he's working behind the scenes.
He is, but you know, there's to that point, there's something else to recognize. Have you noticed during this second term of President Trump, all of his children are pretty much out of the news?
Totally, yeah.
And I think it's a security issue that's gone.
That could be.
Excuse me, that it's gone wrong here. Let me fix that real quick before they get yelled at from the control room. Okay,
They're gonna get
live TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point being is that Kirchner was the architect of the Abraham Accord. And so, yes, I would say that the president's closest confidants will be Vice President Vance, Secretary Mark Rubio, and his son-in-law.
Yeah.
And so this is big stuff.
I have two questions for you. Okay, now the president has said they'll never give it to me, but if this peace agreement holds, does the president of the United States, Donald Trump, get the Nobel Peace Prize?
I don't know that, because the Donald Trump hates syndrome is so real globally.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's say the Nobel Peace Prize has been compromised. You know, they give it to a ham sandwich, as they said. You know. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think the president cares.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
I think the award that he would want would be, if there's a wanting. I mean, the award that perhaps he should be given would come from Israel.
Oh.
The citizens.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and then other countries have followed suit. I mean, there may be the Donald Trump Hall of Fame over there. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Well,
but the point being is that I don't. This whole Nobel Peace, who cares?
Yeah.
It has no value anymore.
Well, it's
kind of like the United Nations. It has no value.
You're right. Now, do you think, with that in mind, that those people at the do this at the Nobel, I don't know what they're called, the Nobel laureate or whatever, do you think they'd like to try and reclaim some relevance and credibility
They
and
could.
say, because think about it, if he secures this peace deal and they don't give it to him, who do they give it to? And why?
Yeah.
I mean, man.
Chuck Schumer.
Okay. Enough of that.
Enough of that. Well, anyway, this is a historic day in world global history here. So we'll have more to say on that coming up a little bit when we check in with CBN Newswatch. All right, we'll take a quick moldy cheese break. We'll be right back.
Where big ideas grow.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. Nah. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in, we weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Welcome home to the Dove, a trusted friend, enriching your faith with inspiring content that will change your life forever.
Welcome home to the Dove TV, radio, and the Dove.us. All right, good morning to you. 20 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. A couple of things that are going on here. And in our own backyard, the Federal Appeals Court yesterday, or actually Wednesday, overturned the judge's order that blocked President Trump from sending in the National Guard to protect the federal buildings in Portland. Then that got stopped again. And then Wednesday, there was a 3-judge panel on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and said its decisions best preserves the status quo. In the meantime, today arguments will be heard as to whether or not to pause the U.S. District Judge's order while the administration appeal is pending. In the meantime, the National Guard is withheld from Portland, whether it be the Oregon National Guard or the California National Guard. Now, a court last night said that the National Guard can be federalized, but can't go in yet. So this is more than the problem in Portland. This now is becoming a clear definition of who has control of the National Guard. And so maybe we had to go through this, as bad as it is, to get that cleared up. But it's pretty simple. It's obvious now Portland has been seized by crazies against the federal building there, in particular the ICE building. Why doesn't the city and the state stop the violence?
Well, I think for the same reason that we're seeing other places, especially in the South, I think they just federalized and went into Memphis, Tennessee. We're seeing it in some other places as well. And because those are blue states run by, blue governors, there's no problem. It's not even in the news. They're just doing their job. And I think the reason you see here is that the people who are protesting on the streets and who are, creating this insurrection at federal buildings are their people. That's their supporters.
Well, we now know some are paid.
Absolutely,
they're tracking the money as to whether or not it's foreign, domestic, or whatever. But it's just crazy. I guess there are people who want lawlessness and thinking, and by supporting lawlessness that you're supporting democracy and all that nonsense.
Now, I heard
thinking.
I heard it argued that this approach to sending the Guard to Portland is different than what happened in L.A. because the level of unrest is different. In L.A., you saw these really big organized riots, and they needed more bodies on the ground and more boots on the ground, basically, to take care of that. They're sending in a very limited approach to Portland, and I heard it say that they're going to be argued in front of a judge that it's going to be limited just to the federal buildings. That they want the National Guard not to be in any kind of a capacity where they can arrest people. They are there to create a buffer zone to protect the federal agents who are trying to conduct their business. And so this may be looked at differently by a judge in the coming days. So we'll see, because it is a much more limited approach than what happened in L.A.
Okay. Then the question becomes, will the city police protect the National Guard from being attacked?
Time to ask the mayor, I think, because they are really limiting the role of law enforcement.
Right now they've been segregated.
They certainly have. They have been limited drastically.
All right, so the other story that popped up yesterday, this is really interesting. Doesn't solve a whole lot, other than it does give us a step forward to figuring out what happened. But the Palisades fire, that took out most of the homes there, in fact, all of them, and businesses, and 12 people died. Well, they found the person they think who caused the fire. And so here's the LA Police Department.
Today, we are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses, and damaging over 1,000 more buildings. The complaint unsealed today charges the defendant with destruction of property by means of fire, a felony that carries a mandatory minimum 5-year federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. The defendant was arrested yesterday on a federal criminal complaint near his Florida residence, and he's expected to make his initial appearance today in the federal court in Orlando, Florida. The allegations in the affidavit are supported by digital evidence, including the defendant's ChatGPT prompt of a dystopian painting showing in part a burning forest and a crowd fleeing from it. Late last New Year's Eve, Rinderknecht returned to Pacific Palisades after working the evening shift as an Uber driver. 2 of his passengers told law enforcement that he appeared agitated and angry that night. After dropping off a passenger in Pacific Palisades, Rinderknecht parked his car and tried and failed to contact a former friend. He exited the car, walked up a nearby trail, took iPhone videos at a nearby hilltop, and listened to a rap song whose music video included objects being lit on fire. The defendant had listened to this song and watched its music video repeatedly in the days leading up to the Lockman fire. 12 minutes into the new year, environmental sensing platforms indicated that a fire had started. It took the defendant several tries to contact 911 to report the fire. He fled the scene in his car, but turned around after passing fire engines driving in the opposite direction to fight the fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, looks like that's the person. These charges, law being what it is, 5 here and 20 there, so that's 25.
Right.
Does murder get attached?
Well,
to
that's the question. There were 12 people killed in these fires. Do murder charges accompany this?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is, does this wipe out the fact that the reservoir was dry? That was part of the.
That's a huge question, yeah. And why? Yeah.
And why?
Right.
Yeah. And
there's another
release
question.
the power company for being complicit to the fires.
Now, we've looked at the situation that happened here in Southern Oregon a number of years ago where we lost, major portions of like Phoenix. And we've seen the recovery. Why is it that the LA fires destroyed over 11,000 homes, and yet less than 10% have received permits to rebuild?
That's the $64 million question.
Whoa.
And it seems like that everybody's got their finger in that pie.
Yes.
And the mayor is
in Malibu,
filibustering this.
Yeah, in Malibu alone, they lost 600 homes. They've received 2 permits to rebuild in Malibu. I don't get it.
You know what the other problem is?
What?
Here comes the Olympics.
Yes, they're right around the corner, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes,
and are they going to bring the world into a burnout area?
Wow.
So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
All right, let's check out Wall Street for this Thursday morning. And thank you, Preston. It's Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call them and you'll never have to mow your lawn again.
Yeah.
All right, the Dow's down 123, almost 124. The NAS is off 27 and a third. And the S&P this morning, which drives just about everything down, almost 11 points. So red ink at the beginning of the bell ringing this morning. Gold is still down. It's down a little bit, but still above $4,000 an ounce. Silver's at $48.62, and crude oil did go down about 3.5 cents. $65.96 a barrel.
You know how advertising slogans get in your head? You're doing it. Pam and I were at someplace the other day. I can't even remember where it was. Pam will remember now as she's listening. And we walked out, and they had AstroTurf out there. And she looked, she goes, look it, they're smart.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
I will say this. Look at your water bill.
Yeah. Well,
look at your lawn. How many lawnmowers do you buy and frustrate? And you've got to buy gas for and keep sharpening it. It breaks down and you get mad and you say nasty words at it. Then you have to have a trimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a gift for Pam. Come on. You're taking away my gift-giving opportunities.
No, just give her a chainsaw gift. And then what's the other one? Fertilizer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got all that goes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're not going from green to yellow to brown back to green again. It's green all the time. How's that, Preston? How's that for a plug?
Hey, look, they're smart. It's working, man.
Okay, man.
Okay, well, we're looking at budget issues, obviously a crisis. The government is shut down. And we keep hearing this thing about Social Security becoming insolvent at a certain period in time. I think they're talking about 34 or something like that now, or 2032. But a Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget President Maya McGinney talked about the coming insolvency of Social Security on Mornings with Maria on Fox.
We need to start talking about the situation as it is. We're going to reach record levels of debt never seen in this country before in just a few years. The problems start with looking at where the growth in the budget is. The largest areas of growth come from retirement and healthcare, and disturbingly, interest on the debt, which is growing faster than any other government program. Now, the things that I'll say are the opposite of what politicians say because they're not willing to level with American people, but we have to fix Social Security. It becomes insolvent in 7 years. We need to look at reasonable things like means testing, raising the retirement age, lifting the payroll tax cap. We have to change the way the healthcare system is delivered to generate savings. And we have $25 trillion in tax breaks over the next decade. We could limit a lot of those and help start to close this gap. Because when the program started, retirement age was 65, life expectancy was 62, so it made sense. Now the retirement age is up to 67, and life expectancy is in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and growing quickly. Young people don't think they're going to get anything like you just said. So if we can lock in benefits, but you are expected to work longer, assuming that you're able to, they would come out ahead of where they think they're going to be. Nobody's touching current retirees' benefits. The AARP should stop trying to scare people and help become a part of the solution here. And we should talk about adjusting the program for the things that have changed in the way that we're all living our lives. So that's a great place to start. Everybody behind the scenes knows that it makes sense. It's just that politicians keep demagoguing it when it's a very reasonable policy.
Yeah. You know why? It's the ideal political football.
It is.
It's one of the most emotional subjects you can attach your campaign to, pro or con.
I know.
And I've seen it. When I ran for Congress, they used it against me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 8 hours, no, it was about 48 hours before the actual election day. And I remember that specifically because during the time, one of the options was, could you have the option, instead of having your money from your paycheck go to Social Security, could you opt it out and put it into an investment fund?
There you go, because we know you can get a bigger return than what we're getting. Yes.
All right. So that was an option. Okay. And my opponent, Republican, came against me and said, Perry wants to take your Social Security away.
Of course, yes.
See how clear?
Oh,
like that. It's an emotional hot button.
Okay, and I have a question, and I've asked this before, and I still can't figure it out. It's that, Ponzi schemes are illegal in our country unless it's run by the government. This is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever hatched and has come to fruition.
We're going to take a moldy cheese break. We'll be right back.
Starry night, that was his design. I'm giving my life to the only son who was.
At Rogue Hearing in Phoenix, we help you hear life again, clearly and comfortably. From expert hearing tests to custom aids and more, the team at Rogue Hearing delivers care you can trust. Rogue Hearing in Phoenix at the shops at Exit 24. Personalized hearing care right here at home.
Men of Southern Oregon, we are thrilled to announce that our next Game Changers, we are bringing in author and speaker Lee Strobel. If you're not familiar with Lee Strobel, he wrote The Case for Faith, The Case for Christ. He is the man behind the movie The Case for Christ, and he's got a new book out called Seeing the Supernatural. Recently, he's been featured on The Sean Ryan Show. He's been featured on Tucker Carlson. A lot of his books address big questions that believers have and even the unbelieving world about heaven, about Jesus. Can we trust the resurrection? He was formerly an atheist, and through his research, he came to the faith. I'm super excited for you guys to experience Game Changers at Edgewater Christian Fellowship with Lee Strobel. Get signed up. It's November 2nd, 6 p.m. God bless you guys.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
All right, the big deal is now coming into fruition, and that is Hamas, within the last several hours, has accepted the phase one of the peace deal, and that leads towards the release of the hostages. So a lot going on. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up.
This is CBN Newswatch.
It is Thursday, the 9th of October. We're going to begin this half hour with a historic peace deal in the Middle East. The agreement sets the stage for a post-war Gaza and Middle East. Now, the families of all the hostages wait for their loved ones after more than 700 days in Hamas captivity. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story. He's reporting now from Jerusalem.
Thank you very much, everybody. You did it!
Some of the hostage families celebrated with President Trump over the phone. Others celebrated in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square. President Trump praised the deal on Fox News with Sean Hannity.
So great for Israel, so great for Muslims, for the Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, and that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years they talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East.
He talked about what's coming.
You'll see Gaza being rebuilt. We're forming a council that the Council of Peace, we think it's going to be called, and it's going to be very powerful. And it's going to really, I think to a large extent, it's going to have a lot to do with the whole Gaza situation. People are going to be taken care of. It's going to be a different world. I think really the Middle East came together.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released this statement. With the approval of the first phase of the plan, all our hostages will be brought home. This is a diplomatic success and a national and moral victory for the state of Israel. From the beginning, I made it clear we will not rest until all our hostages return and all our goals are achieved. Through steadfast resolve, powerful military action, and the great efforts of our great friend and ally, President Trump, we have reached this critical turning point. President Trump is expected to arrive in Israel on Sunday to celebrate the agreement. The hostages are expected to be released on Monday, an achievement Israelis and others worldwide have hoped for and prayed for more than 2 years.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now to continue our coverage. So, Chris, where do we go from here? What does the Israeli government see as the next step?
Well, apparently, Ephraim, the deal was signed at noon local time here in Israel. And in about an hour or so, the Israeli cabinet's going to meet to approve the deal. Even some of the people that have been opposing it seems they'll support it. And then about a couple of hours, the entire government will meet, the Knesset, to approve the deal. And then within 24 hours, we believe, IDF forces will begin to withdraw from Gaza to what's called the Yellow Line. That's a line that President Trump has set. And then that leaves Israel in control of just more than 50% of Gaza. Then we expect that within 72 hours, the hostages should be back on Israeli soil. And as we said, it looks like President Trump is expected to arrive Sunday, and then he will address the Israeli Knesset. In the meantime, Israel's going to release about 1,700 Palestinian prisoners, 250 of them serving life sentences. So it's expected that by Monday, the first phase of the deal will be completed.
How can Israel be sure Hamas will disarm, and how can the peace plan be enforced?
Well, it's a great question, Ephraim. This will be the second phase. It begins after the release of all the hostages. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham, he weighed in on this, and he said, as to the second phase, it's imperative that Hamas completely disarms. They must be written out of any future of any Palestinian government, and anything short of that will only get us back to the old ways. So how can this be enforced? There is talk of what's called the International Stabilization Force. That would be made up, we believe, of many Sunni nations, maybe Saudi Arabia, UAE could be participating in that. Would the IDF play a role in actually disarming Hamas, and how long are they going to remain, and where are they going to be? And are Hamas and Israel on the same page in terms of disarmament? And also another question, is Israel and Egypt on the same page? Egypt reportedly says they won't allow Israel to maintain a permanent presence along the Egyptian border. Israel's insisting it's got to remain. And the Rafah area right along the Egyptian-Gazan border has in the past been the site of a lot of smuggling activity. In fact, that's how Hamas got much of its weaponry for years and years. So that could be a point of dispute going into the second phase.
Well, here we go. This is going to be a really interesting weekend.
Yeah.
And where doesn't the president show up? He shows up at ball games, wrestling matches.
I know.
He pops up all these other places. And now he's going to get on a plane and fly for the next 12 hours or whatever it is to get to Israel.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep.
All right. Let's check out another amazing person.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a low-pressure system moving over the top of our region, today a chance of rain with highs in the mid-60s for Vancouver and Portland, a chance of rain then partly sunny in Wilsonville and McMinnville with a high in the mid-60s. Moving down the Willamette Valley with a slight chance of rain this morning, then clearing to partly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light and variable wind. In Central Oregon, a chance of showers and partly sunny near 71 in Prineville. Mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and low to mid-60s for Bend and Sun River. Sunny in Boise, Idaho with a high near 82. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers along the Oregon coast with highs near 65 in Coos Bay, 62 for Port Orford and near 50 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 50s. A slight chance of showers across southern Oregon this morning, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Grants Pass, mostly cloudy and 68 in Medford, 66 in Ashland, and near 63 for Klamath Falls. Into northern California, a chance of rain in mid-60s in Wairika, a slight chance of showers, then partly sunny in upper 60s in Redding, mostly sunny in Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 73. A slight chance of drizzle across the Bay Area this morning, then mostly cloudy with highs near 68 for Santa Rosa and Napa, clearing to mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 70, and San Jose with a high near 73. A snapshot of your Thursday weather from Grange Co-op.
Snapshot of our valley. Incoming clouds, beautiful. You notice things are starting to turn green again?
Yeah.
Very nice, very, very nice.
Absolutely. Well, it was way back in the 1800s, and a guy had an idea that changed the way people shop to this very day. On October 9th, 1872, a Chicago salesman named Aaron Montgomery Ward changed the way America shopped without ever opening a store. That day, he mailed out the nation's first mail-order catalog, a single sheet of paper offering 163 items at fair prices delivered right to the customer's door. For many rural families, especially those living miles from the nearest town, Ward's idea was revolutionary. It meant they could buy clothing, tools, and household goods the same as city shoppers, no long journeys, no middlemen, and no inflated prices. Ward's tiny startup soon became Montgomery Ward, a retail giant and the model for the American catalog industry. And in a way, today's online shopping, just a click and delivery away, traces its roots back to that simple 1872 mailer. Aaron Montgomery Ward didn't just sell products, he delivered access, convenience, and a new way to connect a nation of customers. Mm-hmm. The only question is, how did they miss the boat in the next level or the next stage of at-home catalogs, which was online?
And Sears.
Sears, yeah.
I think it's complacency. You know, they just got comfortable with what they weren't forward thinking, but they weren't forced to. They didn't have the internet and cell phones and things like that. So it's a new day.
I remember, as a kid living on the farm, I remember getting the catalog, like the Monkey Wards and Sears, and flipping through it, and it was kind of like a dream catalog for me.
Well, both of them were in every outhouse in America.
Yeah, I think so.
They're just kind of sitting there. And had cell phones been invented, can you imagine the buying that would have went on in there? All right, so much for that. The reason I thought I'd throw that funny out there, we really like Senator John Kennedy. Where does he get his one-liners?
Yeah, that's a great question.
He was asked that on Fox the other day, and here's what he had to say.
I confess, I have to take full responsibility. God's blessed me with a great memory. When I read a clever turn of phrase, I remember it, and some of them I just make up. And I do believe in that candor is a mighty weapon. It gets me in trouble sometimes, and I contend that I don't get nearly enough credit for the things that I don't say, but I really want to say. But I just tell the truth, and people can decide whether they like me or not. I don't hate anybody. I look for grace wherever I can find it. But God gave me the right to remain silent, but not the ability.
The ability? He is too much.
Well, I have to say, I guess that's what it is. He reads things and
remembers it. And he says, and then I make some of it up.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, he's fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And he can use those one-liners to make his point.
Yes.
They're kind of like exclamation points,
Yeah.
So anyway, the best one is when he told about you.
What?
You're the reason that there's instructions on a shampoo bottle. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
The most challenging things that happens when you're doing interviews is you interview somebody that their answer is yes, no, yes, no. Those are very, very difficult to do, and you hope it's over real soon. Then you have those that you ask a question to, and they just go on and on and on. I mean, you could literally leave the set, go out and have a hamburger, and come back, and they're still answering the question.
Focus Today, weekdays at 8 on the Dove Radio and TV.
Heavenly Father, I just want to say thank you today. I don't want to pray just when I need something or when things aren't going my way. I need you all the time, no matter what is going on, and I just want to say thank you. Even though things aren't perfect, you are, and your plan for me is. Thank you for your grace, for your mercy, for your unconditional love for me. And most of all, thank you for sending your son Jesus to die for my sins to prove that unconditional love. That even while I was a sinner, he died for me. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Twin Factor is brought to you on the Dove TV by Black Flag Armory. Firearms, gunsmithing, training, and the best prices in Southern Oregon. Twin Factor, weekends on the Dove TV.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott.
To making RV consignment effortless.
American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
All right, welcome back. Happy Thursday, better known as Friday Eve, and mornings on the Dove. And again, we're enjoying our new set after months and months and weeks of construction and issues.
Especially with a set like this, when we say this is our new home, it feels like home.
It does.
This is great.
Yeah, the capabilities of what the Lord has supplied here is just amazing. So our future and our capability of doing things in the future, it just got accelerated to a level that I didn't think we'd ever see.
Oh, boy.
So it's beautiful. Well, listen, I had Pastor Rick Boy on. He's quite the theologian. He heads the theological department for Pacific Bible College right here in Southern Oregon. And he's done this class. In fact, he did it to a men's camp a couple weekends ago about how to listen to the voice of God. I don't know of any one of us that don't desire to hear clearly what God is saying. Yeah. And this is just a portion. Now, if you want to hear the whole thing, go to theDove.us, go to the focus page, and you'll see Rick Boya there, and you can listen to the half hour of him explaining ways that God talks to you, and it makes it pretty simple. But here's a little bit of what he had to say.
He is teaching us to think through his word.
Right. Good stuff.
His word has all kinds of wisdom and instruction in it. And that's why, once again, fellowship with a bunch of people who are in the Word. The Word then becomes the source of learning to think, and sometimes we're looking for guidance, and the Lord would be saying to us, you have enough wisdom to make this decision. I am not turning you into a puppet like Pinocchio. I'm turning you into a real boy. Remember the story of Pinocchio? Right. I want you to think. What do you think is the right thing to do here? It's that kind of interactive conversation with the Lord that a Christian has a right to have. And you say, well, what if I make a mistake? Well, the Lord says, I already forgave you of all your sins. I know every mistake you've ever made.
Yeah.
I will actually instruct you in the way you should go. Psalm 32, verse 8. So, fellowship, the Word of God, and then listening carefully for the providential, that would be the third aspect, the providence. What has God put into my life that I cannot change?
Oh.
How can people say, well, I want to hear from the Lord. I want him to give me guidance. I'll mention that in a second. Well, he uses providence more than any other single thing in the Bible. Meaning he accomplishes Romans 8:28. He puts things together to work for the good of his people. Genesis 50:20, Joseph says, well, you sold me into slavery. You meant it for evil. God meant it for good. He sent me here through this event. That's providence. And it's everywhere in the Scriptures. So if you're in fellowship, you're in the Word, you know you're in Christ, and you understand that providence is the primary way in which God guides us. He teaches us how to think, and then we have to look around and say, what are the things in my life that I know for sure I cannot change, and I simply must respond to? That actually is part of his will for our life, and people forget it. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem, according to the Scriptures, it had to be Bethlehem. If I were Joseph, I'd have been thinking, send an angel. I could talk to Gabriel. He could tell me to take Mary too. And we would have gone earlier than sometimes people think, she was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
No, God moved the entire Roman Empire in a taxation. That's providence in order to get his son born in Bethlehem.
Wow.
Now, if it's good enough for Jesus, then it's good enough for me. A lot of times people think, well, I might be out of God's will. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. It doesn't matter how you got where you are. God is always there with you as a Christian. That's the new covenant. So providence becomes an aspect of hearing what the Lord wants in our lives. It's a way of listening to him.
Another way of listening to God? Do you learn from your mistakes?
Oh, boy, that's a
If you made a mistake, do you ever stop and analyze, okay, what can I learn from this? Because stupid people will do it again.
Does God use spouses?
Two shall become one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm reminded of my stupid mistakes that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Stay at it, Pam.
Yeah, well, that's the way it works. So,
All right.
okay. Well, we love hero rescue stories. I have another, but sometimes heroes come with 4 legs and a wagging tail. In Florida, an 86-year-old woman who went missing while walking her son's dog was rescued thanks to that very same dog. When she didn't return home, her husband called deputies for help. Deputy Devon Miller began searching the neighborhood when suddenly, out of the darkness, the dog appeared, still on his leash, walking straight toward her patrol car. "Hi, baby, where's your mama?" Miller asked on body cam video. Moments later, the dog led her directly to his grandmother, who had fallen and couldn't get up. The woman was alert and injured, but the dog stayed by her side, calm and protective, as paramedics arrived. She's now recovering from minor injuries, and as Sheriff Eric Aiden said, Deputy Miller wanted no credit, calling the dog the true hero of the night. Because sometimes loyalty really does save lives.
There we go. All right. Well, that's a wonderful story. You know, what is it about dogs that they have this instinct to kick in like that?
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Otherwise, they kick in and they want to be spoiled.
Yeah, I wonder if my dog's that smart. I don't know. I think he is, but I saw another story too, a survival story, and a lady had fallen down a ravine, and rescuers were out trying to get her, and her dog was with, and they kept trying to catch the dog, and the dog wouldn't let it, and kept running, and they kept chasing until they were at the scene where she was.
I take this scripture with you today, James, the brother of Jesus, chapter 1, verse 26. If anyone among you thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is useless. Wow. Hey, whatever you were going to say today, maybe you shouldn't say it. Whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is noble, whatsoever is good, think on these things and then say it.
Amen.
All right.
All right.
There will be days I will forget.
Hi, I'm Sherry Breslin with Rogue Valley Security. Whether it's alarms, cameras, keyless entry, or even Starlink, we tailor solutions for your home or business. We believe in professionalism, excellence, and integrity. Every job, every time. Visit RogueValleySecurity.com.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects projects work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Folks, the Dove TV is encouraging and informative. Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 p.m. right here on the Dove.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, we have talked a lot about DEI over the course of these many months and years, and its infiltration into so many things of our lives, especially into institutions, and how it's just, and corporations, it's just taken us into a wild area. I am so honored to have with us today Dr. Stanley Wrigley. He is a clinical full professor of strategic management there at Drexel University. He's the author of a number of books, including Brutal Minds, The Dark World of Left-Wing Brainwashing in Our University, and his latest book, DEI Exposed, and how the biggest con of the century almost toppled higher education. Dr. Wrigley holds a doctorate degree and master's in international relations and security from Duke University. He is a Russian language linguist and former military intelligence officer. So what an honor to have him with us today. Dr. Wrigley, nice to see you, friend. Good to see you again. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much, Perry. It's great to be back. You've got an erudite audience. I got to be on my toes, and I'm ready to answer any questions you may have about DEI.
Well, this is such a hot topic, and it almost, you say it almost toppled higher education. Didn't it kind of really topple it?
Well, it came within a hair's breadth, I can tell you that. And I think that the only thing that's really stopping DEI from continuing its steady march through the institution is the current Trump administration, which basically threw up a roadblock and said, stop. Kind of like Bill Buckley said, we're going to throw up stand up in front of history and crying stop when he founded National Review magazine many, many years ago. This is wonderful news for higher education. Of course, many of my colleagues in higher education don't agree with me on that, as you might imagine. But I think that we can be grateful to the current administration for bringing a White House spotlight onto this incredible con game that has been perpetuated on our campuses and is now drawing to a close.
How did it come about? How did it get infiltrated so fast into so many institutions?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, as is always the case. I mean, you can go back to 1968 with Herbert Marcuse and his long march through the institutions, the pledge that the neo-Marxist project would take over the West by steadily infiltrating and taking over our major institutions, both political and educational, and media institutions. But you can really look much closer to the notion of critical race theory, which is basically the racial adoption of critical theory, neo-Marxist critical theory, which came about in 1989 with the launch of a critical race theory in the academic world. We look at 1989 as the founding of critical race theory, which has steadily infiltrated into the universities through our education schools, which are the abysmal bottom feeders of higher education. And right now, education schools have been completely inundated with neo-Marxist ideology in the form of Paulo Freire, Frantz Fanon, Albert Memmi, and those types of people. And I think that DEI was really accelerated with the death of George Floyd in the summer of 2020. And we saw prostrate administrators who were eager to keep the burning of buildings and businesses off the college campuses. They went supine and said, come onto our college campuses. We'll acknowledge guilt for this rampant racism in America if you'll just leave us alone and not inflict on us what you've inflicted on the nation's cities. It's very complicated, but I do lay it out in detail in DEI Exposed for anyone who really wants to understand the roots of this sorry tale.
So, this administration is putting a halt to it, but it's not completely expelled itself. DEI hasn't totally been expelled from education. And you have border regents who are fighting back. Who wins in the end?
Well, I can tell you, who wins in the end is going to be interesting, because I think that for the 3.5 years upcoming in the Trump administration, we're looking at a continuation of the banning of DEI, the expungement of the university. It is basically anti-intellectual, it's pseudoscience DEI, that is. And I think that the Trump administration has made, or the Department of Education, Department of Justice, has made some really groundbreaking moves in expunging it from the schools. But what we have to understand is that many on the college campuses are simply trying to wait out this administration. They're renaming offices, they're renaming titles, they're changing some of the substance of programs so that the term DEI does not appear. But they're using other monikers such as inclusive, excellence, inclusion, and belonging, and that sort of thing. And so we have to be on the qui-vive. We have to be forthright in our pressure to continue to remove illegal, racially discriminatory DEI from the college campuses. It violates the Constitution. It violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. It violates provisions of the Civil Rights Act of 1964-65, and is clearly illegal. And the only difference between now and what we had from 2020 to 2024 is an administration that recognized its illegality and has the guts and the wherewithal to expunge it. So I'm optimistic with regard to this period.
There's another part of this argument, Doctor, that is so interesting is students who have come through these universities, especially these Ivy League colleges, and have gotten their degree, in the last, say, 5 to 6, 7, 8 years, they're unemployable. Corporate America doesn't want them. They're stupid.
I'll tell you what, Perry, I hesitate to call anyone stupid in the university who's done some work somewhere that's qualified them to get into the university. But the unfortunate thing is a lot of what we call studies programs, and this is a very good marker and a good barometer for the seriousness of the academic enterprise in a segment of academia. If it has the moniker studies on it, like gender studies, women's studies, black studies, peace studies, you know that it's profoundly unserious. And that person is going to have a problem finding someone who's going to pay them to look at and study inequality in our society, who's going to work for gender equality, however you want to define that. And so whenever it's really the fault of the university in offering these types of degrees without the commensurate requirement to ground these students fundamentally in a humane education grounded in logic, reason, critical thinking. These students don't really have the ability to think critically, genuine critical thinking. I teach in the business school, and we don't really have that problem that you're talking about right now, because business schools are largely, we're facing an infestation of social justice warriors, of course, as is the entire university. But we typically do not have the problems that affect, say, sociology departments or education schools and that sort of thing. We train people to be productive creators of wealth in a modern capitalist free market economy. That's the beauty of business schools. And we give students marketable skills that can help uplift themselves and in the process, uplift everyone. That's what capitalism is all about, democratic capitalism. The rest of the university, I'm not so sure on that, aside from, say, math, STEM subjects, computer science, engineering, that sort of thing.
Gosh, there's so much here. You had mentioned earlier, I think when I talked to you originally and the book was coming out, and that you felt like the DEI was operating like a cult. And which is that's an interesting term because it does describe the movement. It's kind of like, we have the truth and you don't. You got to believe us because we're right. I mean, that's kind of the beginning definition of a cult, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is, in the sense that, I've done a lot of research on cults and from the original literature, and much of it appears in my first book, Brutal Minds, which came out in 2023. And DEI is based on that. It's kind of an extension of my work looking at cult activity and the idea that it's really the methodology that's being used by DEI proponents. Once they came onto the college campuses, and I should go ahead and tell you that DEI on the college campuses has a psychological name. It's called virtuous victimhood. Psychologists and psychology have identified the type of strategy that's being used by DEI proponents, virtuous victimhood. It's a resource extraction strategy from the university, and it's worth about $9 to $10 billion a year, both in the universities and in corporate America. The idea is that I'm going to tell you a con story. I'm going to get you to believe that you're a villain that has wronged me in some way. I portray myself, of course, as the victim. And what I'm trying to do is to get you to pay me reparations for the wrong that you've caused me. Very much like a fortune teller tries to run a con on the individual, get the person to buy into the story that's being told, and then give more and more money to the fortune teller. The story, of course, is false. I can give you a specific example of how false the story is. You look at Princeton University in the summer of 2020 when the movement of riots had just begun. There was a very public letter signed by 300 faculty on July 4th, 2020, the Princeton faculty. And it accused the university, Princeton University, of being afflicted with what they called rampant racism. And it made demands of the university to expunge this rampant racism and to do all sorts of things that would cost a lot of money to get done with no end in sight. Well, Connor Friedersdorf, a journalist at The Atlantic, actually one of the only good journalists The Atlantic magazine has now, did the most obvious thing. Barry, this guy went to all 300 of the signatories of this letter and said, look, give me an example of this rampant racism at Princeton University. Give me an example from the last 15 years. And he did this with 300 people. Now, surely 300 people, given a span of 15 years, could name some of this rampant racism that was afflicting their college campus. Not one example was provided to the journalist Connor Friedersdorf. It's completely fake. It's a fraud. And this is what I mean by a con game. But of course, the president of Princeton, President Gruber, bought into it. And publicly wringing his hands, as most college presidents did. Oh my goodness, we're complicit in this rampant racism. Whereas Harvard law professor, and I don't agree with lots of what Randall Kennedy says, a black law professor, very prominent, very erudite law professor, he said, look, why are you doing this? This is America's campuses are the least racist places in America. And he said this in response to all of this angst and all of this hand-wringing and policy upheaval on the college campuses. He says, look, spend your energy elsewhere when there's actual racism. So you've got this happening in the summer of 2020, but it did nothing to halt this massive influx of bureaucrats and poseurs and basically con artists onto the college campuses who are modestly educated, if educated at all, running a con game that is designed based on a doctrine of accusing one ethnic group of being the source of all problems in the United States, that we're all operating under a white supremacy culture. And it goes from there. And it tries to accuse young students of being either villains or victims. It's very Manichaean, very, very, good and evil, oppressors and oppressed, exploiters and exploited kind of doctrine. Completely fake, the kind of thing we expunged from the university, centuries ago. But here it is, it's back again.
Gosh. It also seems to produce a higher level of the devaluing of human life. And what I mean by that if you don't believe like them, you're expendable. Charlie Cook.
Well, yes, Charlie, yeah, the death of Brian Thompson at the hands of Luigi Mangione and also the death of Kirk at the hands of Tyler Robinson are explicit examples of the problem when one erects an ideology and gives and lets it subsume individual will under that ideology. It tells you what to do. You don't even have to think or use your critical faculties and your own experience. To wit, Luigi Mangione learned his ideology, his anti-capitalist ideology, at the University of Pennsylvania. And that ideology told him, you know what? These people are worthy of death. We have to expunge and eliminate the capitalists if we're to have a more just system grounded in social justice, egalitarianism, and that sort of thing. It was quite logical when you think about it. He did what his ideology told him to do. Now, the problem, as you can see and I can see, that this is a truly morally bankrupt way of looking at the world.
No kidding.
They're telling you the truth. They, being, of course, DEI and the basic ideologues on the campuses, are saying, look, we have the truth. You don't need to search for the truth. That search has already been done. We found this ultimate truth. It is based in neo-Marxist theory. It is you must achieve critical consciousness, which means you abandon false consciousness. Perry, you and I have false consciousness. We haven't ascended to critical consciousness yet. But when you do, you will agree that this ideology of neo-Marxism and its offshoot, critical race theory, which identifies villains by the color of their skin, and I mean, I think you and I look at the world this way. If we see a stranger coming down the street, we know that this person is an amalgamation of a lot of influences: his way he was brought up, his education, where he lives, his parents, all of that. Well, when a critical racialist that believes in DEI sees that same person coming down the street, they see either a villain or a victim, one or the other. And there's no in between. That's the very definition of Manichaeism.
All right, fascinating. Let me take a quick break. Let me say, folks, get a hold of his book. It's called DEI Exposed: How the Biggest Con of the Century Almost Toppled Higher Education. There's a picture of the cover of the book. Dr. Wrigley, is that available online and all the other places?
It is available wherever fine books are sold. You can get DEI Exposed on Amazon, in Audible, in paperback, in hardback, and in Kindle. And you can find it most anywhere fine books are sold.
Wonderful. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Perry Atkinson.
I learned this from the late Rush Limbaugh. I interviewed Rush Limbaugh a couple of weeks before we moved to Southern Oregon in 1983. And I asked Rush Limbaugh the question, I said, what is the key to your program? And he said 2 things. He said, one is be comfortable in making fun of yourself and having a good time. And the other one is, when you have a guest on, remember they're the star, you're not. It always stuck with me.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
welcome back, and so honored to have back with us Dr. Stanley Wrigley. He's clinical full professor of strategic management there at Drexel University, author of quite a few books, but his latest book, I tell you, it's a must-read. You'll end up writing in the margins. DEI Exposed, How the Biggest Con of the Century Almost Toppled Higher Education. Yes, education along with corporate America and other things, and it is a con job. So check it out, available online at all places that books are sold. Dr. Wrigley, gosh, I'm going to run out of time, but I have a couple quick questions here. Do you believe that DEI has fueled anti-Semitism?
Well, I think it certainly has. That's a you're throwing me a softball question there, Perry.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt that it's fueled anti-Semitism. These offices on the college campuses, DEI offices, were set up for one purpose, and that was to expose what they call the contradictions in society, which is white supremacy culture. This is this made-up, fabricated notion of white privilege, and that there are certain advantages that accrue to white folk. Well, this obviously would include Jewish students, and so Jewish students who are considered to be wealthy, come from good families, and by certain extremists, the source of a lot of problems in the world, they are not protected by DEI. In fact, they are part of the villainous problems that we find in society. So whenever Jewish students have asked DEI offices on the campuses, and this appears in DEI Exposed, they've been rebuffed. In fact, they've been said, you're part of the problem. And so this has really confounded a lot of my Jewish colleagues who are on the faculty where I teach and say, how is this possible? Their kids who go to school at my institution come out of their certain of the classrooms and saying, why are we part of this problem when we're a minority group and we're being persecuted by quite frankly, everywhere we go, and but there's no DEI protections afforded to us. So it has fueled. In fact, you'll find a lot of the anti-Semitic sources of anti-Semitic feelings in these DEI offices expounded by the people who run these offices when they're in their unguarded moments. And we've seen several examples of that, certainly at Columbia University, which appears, of course, in DEI Exposed. I provide examples of all of these. I should say that DEI Exposed is a very well-researched book, and I let them speak for themselves and really hang themselves.
Why have Jews and Asians become the exception to CRT?
Well, probably because CRT, or critical race theory, is invalid as a social science construct. It is basically pseudoscience when you get right down to it. It has certain conclusions that they want to come to, and they utilize certain methodologies to bring us to these particular conclusions. And they cannot handle exceptions to the theory. This is the cardinal definition of pseudoscience. Whenever you find something in your theory that doesn't fit, like the Asian students, South Asian students, Pacific Islanders, Indian Americans, Jewish students, they're all disconfirmations of the theory. And so the DEI folks get around this by saying, well, these are really confirmations because these people are what we call white adjacent. And they actually use this rescue hypothesis to say, well, see, our theory is really valid. We're just saying, well, they're just close to white folk in certain ways, which gives them license to succeed.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing. We've tried to expunge that kind of pseudoscience from the academy, but obviously we've not been very successful.
That's amazing. The other part of this, Doctor, is how it got into corporate America and why CEOs and corporate boards bought into this. I mean, it's kind of amazing. And what's interesting is now there's the old saying, go woke, go broke. These corporations are paying big for their mistake, but have they learned their lesson?
Well, this goes all the way back to the 80s and early 90s. You may remember Jesse Jackson and his Operation Push and his Rainbow Coalition. He pioneered this technique of basically blackmailing corporate America to adopt his policies. He would say, you know what, that's a nice business you've got there. Be a shame if something happened to it. Be a shame if some demonstrators came out front of your building and dropped your stock price by protesting and calling you racist. But you can avoid that by giving a donation to my organization. And this is basically what college colleges and universities did by buying off the DEI folks by saying, hey, we'll start your program, we'll hire you, pay you lots of money. The head of the DEI program at the University of Michigan, Tabia Chavus-Sellers, is pulling in $431,000 a year for sitting in her office and wringing her hands about DEI. Corporate America was in basically the same boat. They saw this happening in academia and said, we better get aboard this. We don't want demonstrations. We don't want a plummeting stock price. And so they decided to preempt any type of disturbances at their companies and say, we're going to hire these con artists. They can call them con artists, but basically they are. They have a bunch of independent consultants who hung out their shingles in the last 15 years, saying, I can come in and really train your people, poop them up, make them smart, and ensure that your company is seen to be doing something about systemic racism in America. Companies are finding out that they're facing lawsuits from people who've been vilified as villains in their company for just their skin color. This is illegal and has been illegal for a long time. And I think companies are now moving away from DEI. I said that was yesterday's fad. We've done enough Bud Light commercials. We've done some Cracker Barrel. Brand changes.
Yeah, right.
So we're not doing that anymore.
Back to the universities quickly. I know this is supposedly not to happen, but are quotas still secretly being used?
Well, if they're secretly being used, I mean, I'm not privy to the secret, but I can tell you that there's all kinds of ways to get around that sort of thing. In private conversations that have been passed on to me, the sense is that certainly when you had DEI folks, there was one incident at my own university where a particular department was going to hire an Iranian. I'm not going to tell you his field. Well, the DEI person was present and said, look, if you hire this person and do not hire the African American, you might find yourself on Twitter tomorrow. And this was actually explicitly said, and I have 3 witnesses to that. That's the kind of thing done behind closed doors. Yes, yeah. I think it's still happening.
At the end of the day, Professor, it appears to be, I'm kind of looking at post-Charlie Kirk's impact of his assassination, that it may have given rise to what they're calling now a silent morality. And if that is true, and there seems to be indications of that this would be one of the biggest pushbacks of DEI because it's anything but moral.
Yeah, I think that the unfortunate death, the tragic death of Charlie has led to an increase, if anything, in his influence, because I think a lot of people are witnessing his recordings of his speeches and his engagement with students on the college campuses. Far more people than did when he was alive pursuing his enterprise. I think the people, their eyes are open and say, wow, this guy was the living, breathing archetype of what the university should be about, engaging in literal civil discourse on controversial issues of the day. Yeah. And I think that we have seen this. I think there's a great awakening in the good sense within our country.
Thank you, sir, for your time, Professor. You're fascinating. I want to stay connected with you. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, get a hold of his book. Well-researched, well done, DEI Exposed, and how the biggest con of the century almost toppled higher education. There's one other con job you may want to put in with that, and that would be climate change.
I agree with you 100%, Perry. I will tell you this, DEI Exposed does not shrink from naming names, naming schools, naming techniques, and telling parents and students how to avoid getting pressured and sucked in on this.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for your time. Let's stay connected, friend. Good to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Perry.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
ideas grow.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Late for church. I'm pushing it a little bit. And the guy in front of me is dogging it. And then you get maybe a little too close. So you're trying to push him a little bit. I got to get there. And you get to the church parking lot and they turn in front of you. So you watch which way they go when they go in the parking lot. The other way. And Pam says, I told you not to do that. Yeah. Okay. And she was right.
Welcome back. And of course, our own backyard's in the news. What's happening in Portland as it relates to ICE and some of the federal buildings up there. And then, of course, we see this in Chicago and other countries. Always an honor and very timely to have with us our good friend Michael Letts. He is the founder and president of CEO of the Invest USA. Michael's also an ordained minister and has over 30 years of law enforcement experience under his belt. He's the author of a fascinating book called Truth, Lies, and Control, Finding Hope in an Upside-Down World. He does have two websites, investusa.org, and then the other one is Michael Letts, LETTS.US. Brother Michael, good to see you, friend. How are you, buddy?
Barry, it's always a privilege to be with you. I look forward to it every time we get to spend a little time together.
Hey, you're the man. Can you tell us what's really going on in our own backyard?
Yeah, this is a culmination, Perry, and of what we have seen across the country of the desire by the extremists on the left side to regain power. You know, the sad part about it, tying in the biblical principles here, Perry, is when they lost power. And of course, we saw what they did with it for the last few decades, lining their pockets through embezzling money from the Treasury through USAID, and the list just goes on and on. But when they lost power, they became so angry and bitter. And you know, Scripture is very clear. Stay away from bitterness because it defiles not just the person who is bitter, but those that are around it. And that bitterness has come to the point now to where they first started by trying to get power back by just sending a message. Let's go after everything the Trump administration is doing. They're trying to make a safe environment by saying we need to get rid of illegal criminal elements. Then let's oppose that. And so they tried to oppose it with just verbiage. Didn't work. They ratcheted it up by standing in the streets trying to block traffic, making you irritated. That didn't work. They began to harass officers. That didn't work. Got to the point where they're actually engaging them, shooting at officers. And that's bad enough. But what you see happening now is this rhetoric has gotten so hot. You saw what happened Sunday. I broke the story on Sunday. The Fox News didn't pick it up till yesterday. But the red mass that they were going to conduct in D.C., at the Catholic Church there, and in two other locations, they found explosives and incendiary devices. The Red Mass, there were over 200 explosive devices and incendiary things. Now, the interesting thing is that particular location, they had a commitment from the majority of the Supreme Court justices who were going to come and participate in the service. What is Red Mass service? Where they could commemorate what happened in Gaza with Hamas and pray for peace for the region. But now what I want to make sure your listeners are understanding, your viewers are understanding, Barry, is when we're talking about incendiary and IED devices, we're talking about mechanisms that take out hundreds of lives at one time, destroy blocks, city blocks, buildings. We've escalated to that point now. It is an all-out war, and we're seeing that happening now increasingly more in Portland, Chicago, and other places. And we're seeing how the left has really been more organized than we ever thought. I loved your previous guest talking about DEI. You know, the patrol chief that stood down the Chicago officers who were trying to respond to a distress call by ICE. First time in history, I want your viewers to know that a distress call went unanswered. Never been done before in this country. What a tragedy. What a shame.
I know.
But he's a DEI hired.
Mm-hmm. I know
in the police department there.
I know, Michael, you work a lot with the administration on these issues, and thank you for that time and what you do there. I guess we're trying to figure out something in our brain here. One of the judges, one of the district judges said, no, you can't use Oregon National Guard, and then he said, okay, well, I'm going to send in the California Guard, and they said no to that. And then another judge comes along and says, well, let's stay. He's going to stay to both of those decisions. However, he does recognize that the National Guard can be federalized. There seems to be a discrepancy. Who has control of the National Guard, and for what reason?
Well, it's very clear. This is what their basis is, so I want to give you both sides. The 10th Amendment controls how the National Guard is utilized, not just the National Guard, but active troop members as well. They're not supposed to be used in a law enforcement capacity on American soil. However, if you read the full amendment, there are two distinct exceptions or provisions that allow that to be nullified. The first is if there are enemy combatants on American soil. It's very easy for us to understand. Go back in history, if Nazi Germany had landed troops, paratroopers on American soil, it would have been a shame to say, well, the Army can't take them on because they'd be on U.S. soil. We'll have to get cops to try to fight the Nazis that are here on American soil. That would never happen. That's why that provision was made. Now, how does that apply to today? You notice the president has declared certain groups, Antifa, the cartels, and others, as enemy combatants, which places them in the same category that exception provides for. The second exception is the president can utilize and federalize the National Guard and utilize them in any capacity, including the assistance of law enforcement, if he declares a national emergency. People seem to forget that right after his inauguration, he declared that there is a national emergency due to the high rate of crime and its continued escalation. So he's met both of those provisions. And that is why, these activist judges that say, well, we're getting too close to, is he really have the power? Are they doing law enforcement? And can they not do that because they're active troops or National Guard troops? They're missing the entire provision of the 10th Amendment that allows him the right to do that. And they will lose that in the Supreme Court ruling.
So let me ask you this. Does somebody have to die before all of this is actually defined as insurrection?
Well, I will tell you this. That's a great question, and we discussed that yesterday. And the president is now put back on the table. He hasn't announced it publicly, but we're announcing it now. It is back on the table whether to invoke the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act will bypass everything we just talked about. No longer do the courts can they even weigh in on it. The Insurrection Act was made for one reason, Perry, and American people, I think, can easily understand this. If there becomes a riot or an outburst trying to overthrow the government, we can't afford to say, okay, well, y'all just don't riot just yet. We're going to check with the courts and make sure that we're allowed to oppose this. The president invokes the Insurrection Act and can immediately deploy whatever assets are necessary. Active troops, guard troops, law enforcement, federal, state, local, to suppress that insurrection. And yes, we are getting now to the point, so much of this is happening across the country that he is having to consider doing the Insurrection Act again, not just in one specific location, but nationwide because of what you just said. How many people are going to have to die before we take this seriously the way it should be?
There's a part of this problem, Michael, that I'm still trying to process in my limited brain here. And that is...
We all have that problem.
Why are... and I'll just take Portland. Why is our governor and our mayor and our chief of police more upset about fighting the National Guard coming in than fighting the problem of crime itself? I mean, there seems to be such a moral disconnect here, you can't process it.
Well, let me kind of help with that a little bit. Before, let's go to the previous administration. They needed illegal immigrants, among others, to be able to shift the balance of election of ballot boxes so that they could maintain power. Remember, it all boils down to they want to be in power. They're desperate to be in power. And why is that so? They can't continue to keep the money flowing, the embezzlement, and all the other nefarious activities they're doing if they're not in power. We've already proven that. We've already cut those programs out, and they're furious. So they got to get back into power any way they can. So that's the main purpose, is they're furious that they're not in power. Now, once they're not in power, how do they get back in? Well, they certainly don't want you to vote favorably of anything this administration is doing. You might want to vote for it again. So if this administration says we're going to combat crime, make it safer, they try not to be obvious, but they're automatically opposed to it. They don't want that to succeed, because then it would make you think that this administration has actually done something right. And so they're pushing it. They're trying to use these lame excuses. Well, they're just trying to remove people who are trying to make a better living for their little kids. Whatever their excuse is, they're lying. They become, their conscience is so seared they can't see the truth, and they make excuses that make no logical sense to oppose a program just because they don't want it to succeed, regardless of whether it's better for you or not, because they don't want you to think good of an administration.
I'm not saying this to be cute, but it just looks like to me your earlier comments on how the left will do anything to stay in power, and I think that's become obvious, and I think the American people are waking up to it. But it also seems to me that the left now has a leak in all four tires. It seems.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
Do you think so?
I would agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, there's no question. I ask people this: tell me one program, Perry, that has been successful under the leftist liberal leadership. Just one. Has benefited the American people. And every time I ask that question, all across the country, we speak all across the country, I get dead silence.
Yeah. So we're heading in the right direction. It's loud and ugly right now. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned to my last guest, it appears that one of the results of the Charlie Kirk's assassination was the awakening and the rising of a kind of like a silent morality is coming back alive in America. Do you sense that?
Oh, I definitely sense it all across the country. I mean, and it's very obvious why it's happening. You endured 4 years before. They gave you their best of their policies, open borders, et cetera, et cetera. We're just going to spend. Don't ask me how I'm spending money. Don't ask me if I'm putting it in my own pocket. We'll just sit back and smile. Well, somebody's got to pay the bill. The bill comes due at some time, Perry. The money's not free. When you bring in criminals, they create crime. And what's happened is, now that we've got a different administration, people are really beginning to see, wow, I was putting up with all that before, and this is what happens when you have faith and godly principles govern you. Look at how much better the country is, and how much more successful we are. And it's catching on like wildfire across the country.
You're an inspiration, friend. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Michael's book, Truth, Lies, and Control, Finding Hope in an Upside-Down World. There's a picture of the cover of the book by Michael Letts. He has a couple of websites, investusa.org. That's where he supplies protective vests to police officers. So go there and support him. And his personal website is michaelletts, LETTS.us. God bless you, my friend. Stay in the fight. We need you.
We need you, Perry. You're doing a great job of making sure the truth is known. God bless you for it. God bless America. Look forward to our celebration time down the road.
Won't be long. Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
Men of Southern Oregon, we are thrilled to announce that our next Game Changers, we are bringing in author and speaker Lee Strobel. If you're not familiar with Lee Strobel, he wrote The Case for Faith, The Case for Christ. He is the man behind the movie The Case for Christ, and he's got a new book out called Seeing the Supernatural. Recently, he's been featured on The Sean Ryan Show. He's been featured on Tucker Carlson. A lot of his books address big questions that believers have, and even the unbelieving world, about heaven, about Jesus. Can we trust the resurrection? He was formerly an atheist, and through his research, he came to the faith. I'm super excited for you guys to experience. Game Changers at Edgewater Christian Fellowship with Lee Strobel. Get signed up. It's November 2nd, 6 p.m. God bless you guys.
Bulls, bears, and other market beasts. How can you be sure they won't eat your investments alive? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. As you navigate the stormy seas of investing, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
All right, welcome back. I've been looking forward to our next guest. His name is Jeff Dornick. He's the founder and the CEO of social media platform Pickaxe. He is also the host of the Jeff Dornick Show, the author and the editor. He publishes and co-authored Church and State and How the Left Used the Church to Conquer America and Social Injustice, Exposing the False Gospel of Social Justice Movement. And his latest book is entitled Following the Leader. And there's a picture of the cover of that book. Jeff does have a place where you can connect with him. Jeff Dornick, dornik.substack.com. Jeff, good to see you. How are you, friend?
No, thanks for having me on. Been looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, where are you? Where are we talking to you from?
I am out in communist California.
What part? No, I'm from there. What part are you in?
Down in Orange County.
Oh, okay. Good
We have a little bit of freedom down here. We're a little insulated from the craziness of Gavin Newsom, but yeah, it's still communism out here in California.
Okay, well, hang in there, buddy. Help is on the way.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for your time. You have been tracking AI. I think we all are interested in what's happening with this. There's a good side and a bad side, but you go as far as it saying it could eliminate 100 million jobs in the future. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I would actually argue more so. It was interesting. Just the other day, Bernie Sanders came out with a study that showed that AI is centralizing the power to a handful of billionaire oligarchs, and then is going to eliminate up to 100 million jobs over the next decade. And which I totally agree, except for the fact that I don't think that he went far enough. And so when you listen to people like Bill Gates and Sam Altman and Elon Musk and all these guys, what they're actually saying is that over the next decade, AI and robots are going to replace all jobs. And they're actually predicting that there will be zero need for human beings to be in the workforce at all unless we want to. And so they're promoting things like universal basic income, or as they're now calling it, dividends. So instead of you getting, let's say, a payout from the government to not work, you're going to get a payout from these tech companies not to work, and you'll be completely reliant upon them, which is actually terrifying because that they don't have a constitutional responsibility to protect your freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all these different things. They can do whatever they want when it comes to cancel culture, censorship, and all of that. So there's a lot of really terrifying things that AI is going to take us into unless we actually wake up and realize this is not on the behalf of the American people. This is on the behalf of a handful of billionaire techies.
They're already getting bad press. Globalism, climate change, all this stuff. I mean, their credibility's got a leak in it. And to come along and say this is going to wipe out all jobs, then what's the alternative? I mean, you just killed capitalism, which is the heart of America.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is that it was a couple years ago, Benjamin Netanyahu had a conversation where he was interviewing Elon Musk, and they were talking about the future of AI. And Netanyahu asked Elon, okay, what's the end game here? Where is all this going? And Elon says, well, it's going to end up in one of two areas. And it's either going to end up as Terminator, where the robots take over the planet and we are either in a constant struggle against them, or we basically become enslaved by them, or it would become heaven on earth. And Netanyahu asked the next logical question: what's heaven on earth look like? He goes on to describe essentially the Pixar movie WALL-E, where we have access to anything and everything. We don't have to work. We have our brains connected to the internet. We can watch a movie. We can travel just by thinking about it and then visualize it in our brain, because our brains are connected to the internet and AI. We have universal basic income because we don't need to work. And he kind of began to describe this very hedonistic lifestyle. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, neither option sounds like a good option to me. To me, that doesn't sound like heaven on earth. That sounds like hell on earth. You're taking away everything of what it means to be a human being, the struggle, the process of learning from your mistakes and becoming a better person. They're taking that away completely. And so when people are like, okay, where's AI going? Everybody tries to theorize. I'm like, just listen to what these guys are saying, the guys that are actually developing the artificial intelligence. This is what they're saying. Over the next decade, there's going to be no more need for human beings to be in the workforce. They're going to take away all of our jobs and replace them, and then we just sit around becoming completely dependent upon them for everything. That is not freedom at all.
Okay. We're in this beginning stages of AI, and I guess the biggest caution that I would have is, can you trust it for truth? Can you trust it for information? Now, on the flip side of thing, in our industry, in broadcasting and television, radio, content development, it's become extremely useful because it can do things that help speed up the process and help us with creativity. But when you get into the socialization of people, this, to me, seems to be very dangerous, because how do you know you're getting the truth from AI?
Yeah, it's a great point, and you even look at Elon is rolling out what he's calling Baby Grok, which is going to be AI that's geared towards little kids, and you start looking at this and you realize that the AI is only as good as the programmer and only as good as the large language model and essentially the database that it's pulling from. A good friend of mine, Rachel Alexander, she's an election fraud expert. She used to be the Maricopa County elections attorney, and she actually was making the argument. She got into a Twitter fight with Grok, and she proved it wrong with court documents, and then she would provide the court document, say, here's the link to the court document, you're wrong on this point, and this point. Grok would refuse to acknowledge that she was correct and kept going back to the mainstream media reports, not the actual court documents. And then when it couldn't change her mind, it started personally attacking her and slandering her based upon other things that it found about her and dirt it found about her online in order to discredit her. It was pretty crazy experience. But when you look at it specifically, you look at the main thing. It is pulling from mainstream media outlets, and then these same artificial intelligence companies are contracting with the federal government. And then you start realizing, okay, is it pulling from the same large language model in the federal government that it is in the private world? Which, from all the research that I'm finding, it is. And so then you start realizing it's biased. What's going to happen if Gavin Newsom becomes president next? It's going to be weaponized against us, but they're going to claim, oh, it's this neutral arbiter of truth. We can trust AI, when in reality, again, they can program it in order to be pushed in any particular agenda, any particular worldview. And it's almost never, if it's implemented into the government, it's almost never going to be a Christian worldview.
Yeah, no, I understand that. In fact, even today, you can see it all over the internet. You can see it all over social media. So it's already infiltrated there. And I think unless you have a moral base yourself, a foundation, and you have some aspect of truth, you could easily be led astray. I get that. I totally get it. I do want to move over to your book, because I only have you for one segment, and I want to get you back. By the way, jeffdornick.substack.com is how you can connect with him. You wrote this book called Follow the Leader, and there's a couple aspects that's kind of interesting. And you talk about the creation of cult personalities. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, so if you look at study of cults, whether you're looking at Scientology or you're looking at Charles Manson or Jim Jones or whatever it is, they always coalesce around this kind of cult of personality typically, and so they become a follower of a particular person. And a lot of times it's like we kind of write off cults and, okay, they're crazy, they believe all sorts of crazy things. But you start looking at them and you start realizing, okay, how did they get normal everyday people off the street to buy into some crazy wacky belief system that sounds absurd? Well, they go through this kind of cult of personality. They start very basic. They build upon it, build upon it, build upon it. Well, we're seeing those same tactics play out in the masses today, in the mainstream media, and the way that they do the propaganda. And that's led to a lot of the polar divisiveness that we're seeing in this country, because people are buying into an alternate reality. There is no more basis in truth. And so what we're seeing is this tactic, and this happens in conservative circles, it happens in leftist circles, where people find their identity in following a particular person, whether it's Trump, whether it's your favorite pastor, whether it's your favorite politician, whether it's a political party. Your identity is wrapped up in that, and then you start playing follow the leader, where you just basically are repeating the talking points that they give you, whoever that is. And so that's really what this book is all about.
And have we seen that in religion? But the point being is that not only does it follow the leader, but all these leaders have something in common. That is, I'm telling you the truth, everybody else is a liar.
No, it's very true. And I grew up in what I would refer to as an evangelical cult of I grew up with one particular pastor that my family and I adored. We listened to all of his sermons, read all of his books, and it was like if anybody disagreed with that one pastor on anything, then it was deemed as, well, clearly it's not biblically accurate because this pastor said this. It's the same kind of mentality.
So in the meantime, and I've asked this for my guests this morning, there seems to be an unleashing and maybe a rising of a silent morality in America, and it came alive even more so with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And what I'm saying here is this: as much as AI is a concern and DEI is a cult, and rising personalities, there seems to be a rise of common sense to combat it. Are you sensing that?
Yeah, I'm sensing a rise in people that believe in morality, because I think that they've seen the left go so far, over the cliff of just like insanity. But now people are searching. Now it's up to us as Christians to come in with the gospel, with the truth, and actually say, look, this is what you're looking for. Here's the answer. That's kind of like what the Apostle Paul did, multiple times, is that he'd go around like, look, you believe this, or you're searching for this. Here's the answer. This is rooted in biblical truth. This is rooted in reality. Here's the solution. You want to live a better moral life? Well, here's the standards in order to go by. Here's what happens if you place your faith in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit comes in your life and begins the sanctification process. You become more Christ-like. The more that we can get out there with the truth and actually have the answers for these people that are searching, because of especially what happened with Charlie Kirk, and then also seeing just how off the rails the left is, it's giving us a phenomenal opportunity to go around and preach the gospel.
Yeah, and they're really open to it. In fact, they were saying a 15 to 18% rise in church attendance the weeks following Charlie Kirk. I mean, there is a hunger there.
No, there really is, and I think now it's up to us to not just take it for granted and not just say, oh yes, now people are coming around. It's like, no, now it's go time to actually come in with the truth. Now it's go time to answer their questions, to bring them into the fold, to introduce them basically to a relationship with Jesus Christ through the gospel.
Right.
Like that we need to take this opportunity. We should be more fervent now than ever in reaching these people, because people are yearning for something and they just don't realize what it is a lot of times.
Well, Jeff, you're fascinating. We got to get you back. Let me say, check out his latest book called Following the Leader. There's a picture of the cover of the book. Find it wherever books are sold. And Jeff's connect is Jeff Dornick, DORNIK.substack.com. And there's a picture of the landing page. Thank you, friend. Let's stay connected. Good to see you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.